charged with second-degree murder of Maureen Brainard-Barnes. I will now play you commentary coming from the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office. They held a press conference pertaining to the Gilgo Beach murders. Also, during this live stream, you're going to get information pertaining to the DNA that links Mr. HEUERMANN to the crime, and then we will chop it up pertaining to DNA from his wife and daughter also found on the victim and other victims. This is a very diabolical case coming out of New York. We're going to take a deep dive into who Rex HEUERMANN is, the wife, the daughter, the victims, family members. They will also speak during this press conference. Are there more victims out there linked to Mr. HEUERMANN? When did he stop this reign of terror? Some may believe he's not the culprit, but DNA says otherwise. We're going to take a deep dive into this set of information. Thank you for joining me. And if you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie, 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Suffolk County District Attorney. Thank you.
Time of his arrest, the phone ending in 1697 was recovered from his office, and the phone 2671 was recovered from his person. With regard to the phone ending in 1697, again, we see the same repetitive activity on that phone. It was used to contact numerous sex workers. We also were able to use it to identify an alias, Andrew Roberts, which was a known alias being used by the defendant. We were also able to recover a fraudulent email account, which is sandbagger303@gmail.com. The Sandbagger email address was used similar to the T-Hawk fraudulent account. The T-Hawk was used after Sandbagger, but the Sandbagger account was used once again to search for torture porn and info on the Gilgo case, on the Gilgo investigation, and victims' families. The defendant was particularly interested in the cellular telephone technology being not only used by the FBI, but specifically by the FBI in this case. We also recovered numerous electronic devices from the defendant, including a number of laptops, smartphones, tablets. From that, we learned that the defendant undertook numerous searches for software that could assist in erasing or wiping data from computer and digital devices such as Easy Hide IP and Shredder X. He used those two applications to destroy evidence in this case. We see that he continued to make prostitution-related searches before, during, and after the disappearance and murder of the 4 victims in this case. Notably, on one laptop that was recovered from the house, there was an attempt to shred evidence shortly before the defendant met with and murdered Melissa Barthelemy. Another laptop recovered in the house accessed Amber Costello's Backpage ad on September 1st, 2010 at approximately 9:03 p.m., and that is just hours before the ruse occurred around midnight on September 2nd. So the way the timeline works is on 9:03, that laptop that was recovered from the defendant's house was used to access Amber Costello's Backpage ad. Thereafter, at about 11:33, the burner phone that was used to kill Amber Costello contacted Amber Costello's phone from Massapequa Park, and later at 12:05, that same phone accessed that Amber Costello's phone, but this time the phone had moved from the Massapequa Park area to the West Babylon area where Amber Costello lived, and then back to Massapequa Park. That is significant evidence as well. I think the biggest change is the DNA evidence, and we've received significant DNA evidence between the time of the first arraignment and this time, which I'll synopsize for you. At this time, we've always spoken, right from the very beginning, we spoke about the 5 hairs of significance that were recovered from 3 of the 4 burial sites of the women. So I'll just go through that. We earlier reported on mitochondrial DNA evidence as to 3 of those hairs. We now have nuclear DNA results for all 5 of the hairs. So I'll go through it. The first, the most significant hair for the purposes of the superseding indictment was the hair that was found on Brainard-Barnes. It was found on the buckle of the belt that secured her lower body, and we also found three hairs at the site of Megan Waterman's burial. We found 2 female hairs and 1 male hair. The male hair was found at the bottom of the burlap that Megan Waterman was wrapped in, and the 2 female hairs were found around the head area, 1 at the top of the burlap and 1 near the tape that was used to restrain Megan Waterman's head. The 5th hair was a female hair that was found in the area of Amber Costello's head. Now, at the time of the original arraignment, we reported on mitochondrial DNA results for 3 of those hairs. With regard to the Megan Waterman hair that was found outside the head area, it was consistent with the genetic profile of both Asa, the mitochondrial DNA profile of both Asa and Victoria Heuermann.
Let's go back on that right there.
Amber Costello's head. Now, at the time of the original arraignment, we reported on mitochondrial DNA results for 3 of those hairs. With regard to the Megan Waterman hair that was found outside the head area, it was consistent with the genetic profile of both Asa, the mitochondrial DNA profile of both Asa and Victoria Heuermann.
So outside of Megan Waterman's head, I guess she was duct tape around the head, which makes no sense to me. The wife and daughter's DNA. That's bad. Now, we know that this house was hoarded up. We also know that you can transfer fibers, hair, onto your clothing, shoes, by sitting on furniture, brushing up against something, fabric, but it still looks bad. Very, very bad. We've gone from his DNA on the victims to the wife's hair, now to the daughter's hair. And this is pertaining to Megan, one of the other victims. Very disturbing information.
And you could exclude the rest of the population to 99.69% of the rest of the population. With regard to the 1 male hair of significance that was found on the burlap with Megan Waterman, again, that genetic result was consistent with the defendants, and 99.96% of the population could be excluded. And then finally, we had the mitochondrial results with regard to the female hair found at the Costello burial site, and that was consistent with the genetic profiles of both Asa and Victoria Heuermann, and
wait a minute.
That was to an exclusion of 99.98%.
Now, another victim, Costello. Both Asa, and the daughter, Victoria. Come on now. Waterman, victim. Costello, victim. Hairs belonging to the mother and the daughter on now 2 different victims. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I think it was just transfer. I don't think they helped them. Well, but do you know them? Let the queen give you a scenario. Mother comes home to see husband entangled with another woman. She goes off, gets upset, starts beating up the lady. Daughter hears mother embroiled in an altercation, comes running in as well. They're all now beating up on a lady. The husband's trying to get the women off, or he participates. I don't know. Just saying, just giving a scenario. And then the lady is now being attacked by 2 or 3 more people in a house where she went to have sexual relations with a man. Stay woke.
Of the rest of the population. And if you remember the science of mitochondrial DNA, unlike nuclear DNA, you inherit that solely from your mother. So a mother and a child will have identical mitochondrial DNA profiles. So that is the mitochondrial results. We now have nuclear DNA profiles on all 5 of the questioned hairs, and we use this using the SNP or SNP process. And with regard to the hair found on Maureen Brainard-Barnes on that belt buckle, it was 7.9 trillion times more likely to have come from someone with the identical genetic profile as Asa Ellerup. With regard to the first hair that we got, the mitochondrial DNA profile on the female hair on Megan Waterman, that is 2.374 times 10 to the 48th power as likely to have come from someone matching the genetic profile of Asa Ellerup. And the way that number is expressed, that's scientific expression, I'm told. So that's basically 2.374, and you add 48 zeros to that. So that's a number so large it doesn't even exist. A name for it doesn't even exist. With regard to the second hair that was found on the tape by the head of Megan Waterman, that was also consistent with a person with the same genetic profile as Asa Ellerup, and that was 2.778 times 10 to the 488th power. Could exclude the rest of the population. With regard to the male hair, that was we received the mitochondrial DNA profile with regard to that. The nuclear DNA profile on that was 1.48 times 10 to the 169th power as to come from someone sharing the same genetic profile as the defendant. And finally, with regard to Amber Costello, we received the nuclear DNA profile on that, and that was 4.654 times 10 to the 63rd power as likely to have come from someone with the same genetic profile as his daughter, Victoria Heuermann. So again, the mitochondrial DNA for mother and daughter are going to be the same. Nuclear are going to be separate. Everyone has a separate nuclear DNA profile except for identical twins. We believe these DNA results are significant. Nuclear DNA, as illustrated, is much more discriminate, and the SNP technology that was utilized allows you to get nuclear DNA results from hair.
The one thing I've learned about people is that you don't know them. And you don't know if a person asks someone to go along for the ride in a crime or afterwards or during. So I don't put my stock on anything, not after the things I've seen and heard. And when you watch a lot of true crime stories of people coming forward after the fact, that should tell you something right there. Be it 3 days later, 20 years later. You watched, you saw the person being assaulted, you did nothing. You helped carry the body, bury the body. You were told the story, you never called police. So why would I sit here and think these people had nothing to do with it? I am not going to say they did not. Because what are you all going to say if you find out the other bodies are linked to him and their hairs are on them too? Already had 2 victims already. 3. Brainard makes 3. Come on now. 4 bodies, and you got hair off of these people living in the house on 3 dead people. A lot of hair shedding. How about that? Let's just say that then. They've kept long hair. Naturally, you shed hair every day. But damn, 3 people? That's a lot. And that's the whole point of the story. His lawyer will have to prove, yes, it was transferred 3 times. How many charges he'll have by the time he actually goes to trial if they can link his DNA or anybody from that house, their DNA, to some more bodies as I said, imagine more bodies get linked to Heuermann and the family DNA, and you have now got to go into a courthouse and tell 12 people, oh yeah, it's just transference 5, 6 times. You better hope you got a jury that'll say, yeah, okay, their hair just happened to be on belt buckles, duct tape. Think about that for just a second. One of the girls' heads was taped. Does this ring a bell? Lori Vallow, calling Lori Vallow. You have long hair. You're standing over a body. Do I need to say any more? Just say it. Hair is sweeping over the dead person while you're binding them up, tying them up. Just.
This is, cutting edge. We talked earlier, and questions were asked with regard to mitochondrial DNA, and is mitochondrial DNA analysis cutting edge? Not really. It's been around since 1996. It's been, used in courts in the United States since about 1996, I think. This SNP process is cutting. There are a couple of cases around the country where it's being used, but no finished cases, I believe. But it is scientifically accepted in both the medical and forensic community. It's used in the familial DNA context, so the science is certainly extremely solid. And the good thing about it is it's allowed us to differentiate between those Victoria Heuermann and Asa Ellerup hairs. So that's important. So that's basically the bail letter. I'll open it up to questions, but I just want to end with, we said at the very beginning that we were going to take a comprehensive look for cases. I think we've done that. We've completed that. We used the grand jury process. Now we move to the second phase. The second phase being the prosecution of these 4 cases, as well as continuing to use the grand jury to investigate the other cases, the other bodies, and the other murders, which we think are investigatively significant. We're certainly going to do that. We're going to use methodology. We use the grand jury. And if we come to a result in the time, and when the time is appropriate, we'll have further comment on that. So that's it. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, regarding the ongoing investigation, how many recovered bodies, other victims, are part of that investigation?
So we're not going to talk about it because we're going to wait until we're able, we'll talk about that in court. But suffice to say that it will be a comprehensive investigation with regard to a number of the bodies. So I think later the families will be speaking. They have an attorney that they're going to be speaking. There's going to be I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but right after this. Oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off.
Hey, Evie.
Okay.
So you mentioned that the Secret Service helped you guys out with the devices, downloading
Yeah.
and finding out what data had been destroyed. Who was helping out with the DNA? Like, why was there a second rollout?
So we use, of course, our excellent Suffolk County Crime Lab has helped us with DNA analysis. We've also utilized 2 outside forensic labs. We haven't disclosed those names just because we want them to do their work. We've disclosed some of those reports, so the defense is aware of the names of those 2. We just haven't disclosed it. And their work continues.
When Melissa had jury that you were talking about, the investigation of the Global 47 has ended, is this same grand jury now going to be investigating the remainder of the murders?
Yes, the grand jury investigation with regard to Gilgo continues, yes.
And it's the same
Yes.
grand jury? When Melissa Handy, because she's right here now, like to say.
Well, I think there are going to be a couple of words spoken by the members of the family after we're done with ours. Right here.
Ray, can you put into context in layman's terms the DNA and how and why it's significant in the case against Mr. Heuermann?
So I think with regard to the DNA, first you have what we had previously was mitochondrial DNA. There are, and heretofore, mitochondrial DNA was really the only DNA you could use to get DNA, to extract DNA from hair. So with that's good about mitochondrial DNA. The numbers are big, but not as big as with nuclear DNA. And because you inherit your genetic profile from your mother, there are a lot of people walking around with identical mitochondrial genetic profiles. And there are not as many base pairs with mitochondrial DNA. I think there's like 12,500, a little bit more base pairs in mitochondrial DNA. There's 3 billion base pairs with nuclear DNA. So nuclear DNA is like sort of the gold standard. If you could get to nuclear DNA, the numbers are going to be much larger. So you want to get to nuclear DNA because other than the numbers are high and other than identical twins.
And that's probably the hair that has the bulb, I would assume, because I think I've heard that before in court testimony about hair being on victims. It tests better with the bulb because that's coming from the root. Very interesting information. Well, Rex, how are you going to explain this now? Asa, are you worried? You and the daughter? And as I said before, this woman wasn't even fooling with her husband, but naturally she had to go to court at some point so she could go to the jail to talk to him so she could get, their business lined up, get things put in her name, transferred in her name. Because I doubt that she had anything in her name. That house, his parents' house. So I believe he married her and he never even put her name on the deed. The cars he has, I doubt that her name was on any cars. She was just living in his house. I'm going to say that. His house, not theirs, not ours, his. She was just there. I think Asa was the best he could do as far as getting a mate. If you see him, he's a towering inferno. He's goofy looking. He's a sexual predator. That's why he has all these searches exacted. And his searches are vile. If you want to watch porn, that's your business. But when you start talking about sexual assault porn, kiddie porn, violent porn that's involving simulation of death, you got problems. And sadly, you can be addicted to porn. You can be a really nice person, but you've got a problem because there are men out here, maybe some women too, I don't know. But a lot of men can't even perform without looking at porn, which is a serious problem. Because you hear a lot of men say that to women. Well, let's turn a video on. For what? And I'm not trying to be descriptive, but I'm just giving you an example of how porn can affect the human mind to where it can be a cause of sadism down the road. You got to watch it 24 hours a day. Every moment you got to watch it. You got to talk about sex. Your conversations are sexual in nature. You got to touch, you got to grow. See, all that leads to something, porn, especially violent porn. And I'm not saying that every man that watches porn is a violent human being. It's not what I'm saying. But we have heard of people who are sadists. They did imbibe in porn, violent porn, all types of weird type of porn, sadistic porn. And sadly, as I just said, a lot of men can't perform sexually without watching a video, which is weird to me. Why do you need a video? And I won't doubt he probably did the same with his wife. He could not perform unless he turned on some porn. I bet you when it's time to go to court, they're going to tell us they had porn in their house. Magazines, it's on devices, download it, search video clips, all that stuff. Apps, probably had porn tapes, DVDs. He's a sadist, addicted. He's also addicted to torture. See, all that's in his searches. This isn't your average bloke that just likes to look at naked women and watch sexual acts. I got to watch it. I got to perform it. And I've also got to take a life. Reenacting. See, that's where that violent porn comes into play. Reenacting. So I'm not going to sit here and say what the wife wouldn't do and didn't do. I don't trust anybody. And as I said in the chat, she and her daughter better hope no victim has their DNA under their fingernails. How are you going to explain that? Because you can't. You are out of the realm of transference once your DNA is under somebody's fingernails. See, you don't really know these people. You don't know what they were doing out there on that island. Sex parties, swinging with people, neighbors, friends, associates, prostitutes, sex workers. You don't know if that wife was a part of it. Maybe he asked her to join in on some of those murderous ventures. The state's got to prove where the women were murdered. At the house or in a hotel or in a car, where? And what's going to be jacked up is if there's evidence to show this lady participated in 1, 2, or more. She watched, facilitated, tortured, wrapped the victims up. See, you don't know because you don't know them. Because I always thought her behavior was odd when they were searching the house. FBI. You know, this ho-hum, dowdy looking lady. Then all you hear, she has cancer. This is what I tell people about that. I get so sick and tired of every time something jumps off pertaining to a heinous crime such as unaliving a person. The first thing comes up is how sick somebody is. Have you noticed that? It's always cancer. Every waking story, somebody has cancer. And it's not to say she didn't have it, she don't have it, but it's almost like it's used as an excuse. Don't say nothing bad about her. Don't say nothing bad about her. She's got cancer. You don't know what that lady was doing in that house. And if somebody can prove that she was swinging with her husband and swinging any victims, you can't say she didn't participate. She didn't watch him torture a lady. She might get off on that. There are many men who have used women to go along with picking up women, have used the women to pick up the women. Who better to get a woman run away off the street than a woman? Oh, sure, honey, you need a place to stay? You can come home with me and my boyfriend, my husband. We'll take care of you. We'll give you a bath, some food, some warm clothes to put on. And before you know it, the woman or girl is trapped in there and she's held hostage and she's sexually assaulted by both. By both. And we've seen the cases of women knowing what the husband was doing with the victim, held hostage in the house, in an attic, in a crawl space, in a shed. So you can't say the woman wouldn't participate in a murder. You are sexually assaulting a woman you don't know from a can of paint, a child, whomever. And I'm supposed to say in my right mind, oh no, she wouldn't commit murder. Hell yeah, you would. If you're sick enough, you would.
Everyone's DNA profiles.
Mr. Chairman, the 10 sets of remains we've already identified for them being found between years 2007 and 2010. Can you share with us the years that you believe the other bodies were buried?
No.
Attorney, two of the attorneys said nuclear DNA came out of nowhere. He, up until now, didn't believe there was any. This is obviously, as you said, more certain as far as the case. How confident are you in the case? And what do you have to say about that?
Sure. I think that nuclear DNA existed in the hair since they were first recovered in 2010, and now the science has caught up. I would say that's a good break for justice, a good break for the investigation. Others might disagree. But the fact that we were able to utilize technology to obtain a nuclear DNA result that we are confident in and that we are confident in defending in court and making admissible, these are all good things.
What took so long with Maureen BRAINARD-BARNES? I mean, the other one was due in July, the jury. What took so long? Can you speak to her circumstances specifically, especially because she did have hair allegedly on the belt?
So we spoke about the need for investigative secrecy, and as we were working through, and and at the time we thought it was necessary to take the case down, we had completed 3 out of the 4 investigations, with Maureen Brainard-Barnes being the 4th that we did not complete. One of the main reasons why we didn't complete the Maureen Brainard-Barnes investigation is because we knew we had this hair, and we were awaiting, among other things, we were awaiting the result of that nuclear DNA result, which didn't occur at the time of the original takedown. So that was the main reason.
Can you just speak to what this money used for the task force for the family, this charge related to the court takedown of the build-up for?
Well, I think it means a lot to the task force because we know that it provides a small measure of closure for the families, and so we're really happy to provide that for them. We know that there's a lot of hard work to go, that these are allegations, that we need to prove them, but it's nice to be able to let the families know that notwithstanding, a lot of the things that have been said, we've always focused the case in the right direction. We always kept the victims in mind, and we were able to obtain a result which we're pleased with.
I think the attorney, I just want to clarify, the grand jury was being for the build-up for the same one, still actively investigating.
Correct.
Okay, so in addition to, the defense also tried to pass this out on some DNA evidence, but they also said something to the effect of just because an individual is prostitute doesn't make them a killer. In regards to the new evidence for murder, is there anything you'd like to share with that?
No, I think that's what trials are for, and we look forward to proving these allegations in court.
And can you speak just a little bit to Maureen Brainard-Barnes' specific circumstances? I know we've spoken about all 4 as a group. What specifically does your office know about the circumstances of her death so far?
Well, I mean, I think that the circumstances of all the 4 women are very similar. Their backgrounds are similar. Unfortunately, their deaths are very similar, and that's why we focus on the Gilgo 4. But it's what we're willing to disclose about that death is everything that we've talked about now, with regard to the utilization of the 4 separate burner phones to lure these women out to Massapequa Park, where they were unfortunately murdered.
In the documentary video, we talked about what was in some of the storage units, but not much. Can you talk about what else was found? Because we really tried to do it now.
Sure. So, basically what is required to us as prosecutors is we have grand jury material, which is secret, and then we have stuff which is publicly disclosed. So we comment on information that's publicly disclosed. There are literally mountains of information that have not been publicly disclosed, but I'm ethically enjoined from speaking about those. So I can't speak about those. So I will. That's it? Sure.
That's the Suffolk County District Attorney that was speaking. Now we'll have Ms. Allred speaking. Ms. Infamous Allred. Forbes Breaking News is the source if you need verification of this information. We'll also be hearing from the family, Ms. Brainard's daughter, Brainard-Barnes' daughter, and her sister.
I'm Attorney Gloria Allred, and today I'm here at the Suffolk County, New York courthouse with 5 of my 6 clients who were relatives or a friend of alleged victims of defendant Rex HEUERMANN. Mr. HEUERMANN, as you heard, has been indicted on first and second degree murder charges against Melissa Bartholomew, second degree murder charges of Maureen Brainard-Barnes, and first and second degree charges of Megan Waterman. I represent the family members of the alleged victims. Lynn Bartholomew is the mother of victim Melissa Bartholomew. Amanda Funderburg is the sister of Melissa Bartholomew. Nicolette Brainard-Barnes is the daughter of Maureen Brainard-Barnes. Melissa Kahn is the sister of Maureen Brainard-Barnes. Sarah Carnes was the friend of Maureen Brainard-Barnes. Elizabeth Meserve is the aunt of Megan Waterman and the legal guardian of Megan's daughter. Lynn Bartholomew was not able to be present today, but did try to get here and will be present in the future. They have asked me to represent them as their victims' rights attorney in this case, and I'm honored to support them. 39 years ago, I was contacted by a sex worker named Rhonda DaCosta in California. She performed that kind of work because she needed the money to support herself and her young child. She had met a man named Daniel Zabuski and agreed to provide him with oral sex for $30. But he wanted to rape her and sodomize her, and she alleged that she said no. But he did it anyway. Then he stole money from her. Zabuski was charged with rape, sodomy, and grand theft. Zabuski's criminal trial was held in Pasadena, California, in front of Judge Gilbert Austin. But before the jury could decide the case, the judge dismissed it. He stated to the Pasadena Star News, quote, "The law was set up to protect good people. You, my wife, my daughters, my granddaughters. It doesn't protect a street-walking prostitute from a contract gone awry. This case shouldn't have been filed. A whore is a whore is a whore."
Oh my God.
It was at this point that Rhonda contacted me. I was appalled by the judge's comments. This case wasn't about contract, it was about rape and every woman's right to say no.
Let me interject here. This is probably the assertion of many streetwalkers, prostitutes, drug addicts, so on and so forth, by men and women. Well, they're out there, they want trouble, they're into trouble, oh well, who cares? The fact that a judge would say this in his commentary and dismiss the charges against a rapist is appalling, because you are not supposed to be giving any type of commentary on the lifestyle of the person, period, especially in this situation of being assaulted. So basically the judge felt like, well, she was out there doing work, it was a contract, she got what she got. We're not like her. My family, they're not like her. Regular citizens aren't like her. It doesn't matter. If there's evidence that he sexually assaulted her, then charges should be brought forward. Now, some people will say, well, it's not really rape because she was out there soliciting herself. They agreed to have sex. Okay, but if a person decides to say, I'm done, I'm getting up, I'm leaving, and then a person takes them, choke them, beat them up, throw them to the ground, and starts to penetrate them, that's rape. Bottom line. Whether I just had sex with you or not, willingly. When the act is over and I or whomever say, I'm done, then I'm done. And naturally, they can take it even before you get your undergarments off and get your clothes off. And that's the attitude of many men. That's the reason why these crimes never got solved in the first place, because they had a dirty chief of police who is now in the spotlight for shenanigans and buffoonery and misdeeds with men, public indecency. So you see, I'm going to say it again, you don't know people. Hell no, I'm not going to investigate this case. I'm involved in this type of behavior myself. So think about that. If you have a dirty chief, how many detectives and cops were also dirty, imbibing in the same type of behavior, soliciting prostitutes and God knows what else? Because this goes on every day. You just don't know about it. You don't hear about it. And naturally, a prostitute is not getting ready to go tell law enforcement, oh, I was raped. Because naturally, they're going to ask you the circumstances, how you know the perpetrator. And then you got to sit up and say, well, you know, we met online, or I was standing on the street corner, and so on and so forth. You probably get a detective. If he's a male chauvinist, he is not getting ready to follow through with paperwork. And you see this also with women who aren't prostituting when they are going to the police station to talk about rape, such as the issue with Sean Williams up in Washington County. Going in to talk to the cops and nothing was done. No formal paperwork, nothing. You're supposed to get paperwork from filing a complaint. I don't care what the complaint's about. Doesn't matter what the complaint's about. You're supposed to get a formal complaint once you step into the police station. But this is the attitude towards women in general when there is no prostitution involved. She deserved it. She wanted it. She didn't say no. And you see this often in cases of allegations of sexual assault. I didn't take it from her. I didn't do that. I'm a nice guy. She wanted it. She agreed. Lord have mercy.
Judge Alston had in effect declared open season on prostitutes. Rapists and those who beat and murder prostitutes could interpret this to mean that they now had a license to rape, beat, and kill because of the criminal justice system, which would not be there to protect prostitutes or give them access to justice. The judge seemed to be telling rapists that if they committed crimes of sexual violence against sex workers, that the law would protect the abuser by denying the victims access to the courts. Evidently, at that time, sex workers were not entitled to protection of the law from acts of rape and sodomy. I mention this case today because the suggestion from Judge Alston seemed to be that sex workers are not good people. That notion is dangerous to women's lives, whether or not they are sex workers. The courthouse door should never be shut to any woman who is victimized by gender violence. No man has a license to hurt, kill, or do anything else to a woman without her consent. And as I predicted 39 years ago, after the judge made his comments,
39 years.
Zabusky went on to rape, beat, and assault a number of other women. Finally, he was sentenced to a term of 80 years in prison in other cases after Rhonda.
So let's talk about that for just a brief second, although it's not related to this case of Ms. Brainard. But Ms. Already, speaking of a personal case she was on years ago, 39 years ago, and then eventually that man went on to continue sexual assaulting women and then finally got 80 years in prison. Do you see how the justice system works? It is not balanced because everything lies on a person's assertion of the information. He got a slap on the wrist. The lady was talked down to by the judge inappropriately, and he should have been recused as being a judge just from the comments alone. And then the man went out there to still commit more sexual assaults and then finally got caught. So then you got to ask yourself, who did he assault in order to get those charges to stick on the books? Regular women who weren't sex workers. So I'll believe you if you're not a sex worker. She would lie because she's a good lady. She's a nice lady. She's telling the truth. She's a school teacher, cashier at the Piggly Wiggly, hardworking lady. I believe her, but not a prostitute. Stay woke.
Successful in filing a civil case against Zabuski for Rhonda over the objections of Zabuski's attorney, and a different judge allowed me to continue litigating the case for Rhonda. However, sadly, Rhonda passed away, and therefore we never went to a civil trial. The point of what happened to Rhonda is that failing to afford sex workers access to justice sends a message to men who victimize them that the victimizers may never face consequences for their wrongful and criminal acts. This is 2024. Will there be justice for women who just needed some money to help support their children or themselves? It is long overdue to provide justice for vulnerable women who are missing and murdered. It will be for the jury to decide if this defendant will be found guilty of the murder of Maureen, may she rest in peace, and the murder of other women for whom the defendant has been indicted. We look forward to a fair trial for the defendant and justice for Maureen. Next, I would like to introduce Nicolette Brainard-Barnes, who is the daughter of Maureen, and Nikki, as we call her, has never done an interview, and she will make a statement today.
Okay, brief intermission. As I stated in the chat, it's okay for men to buy sex, participate in solicitation, get a slap on the wrist, fine, whatever, but no justice for women if they are brutally assaulted, beat up, or unalived by John or whomever. It's very sick information. And I'm sure even today you still have judges who do not favor sex workers. And they let the men go. Slap on the wrist for buying sex, but the woman is judged harshly.
Because this is heartbreaking for her. Nikki.
First, I'd like to thank law enforcement who have been dedicated to working on this case. I very much appreciate your efforts on behalf of these vulnerable victims. I'm here to speak for my mom, Maureen. I was only 7 years old when my mother was murdered. Her loss drastically changed the trajectory of my life. There are countless times I needed her and she was not there. I remember she read to me every night, and now I can no longer remember the sound of her voice. I wish she was here today, but she was taken from us. For years, it looked like there might not be charges filed against any suspect for the murder of my mother. While the loss of my mom has been extremely painful for me, the indictment by the grand jury has brought hope for justice for my mom and my family. I owe so much to my mom, and I know that she would want me to speak out for her in this process and let everyone know who she really was. Even though it was difficult for me, I'm doing this because I want her to be remembered as the loving mother that she was. Thank you.
That was the daughter speaking.
Okay. The next speaker will be Melissa Kahn, and she is the sister of Maureen Brainard-Barnes.
The sister will speak now. Younger sister.
Would you like to identify the person standing next to you?
This is my husband, Christopher Cam. Hello, my name is Melissa Cam, and I am the proud sister of Maureen Brainard-Barnes. I would first like to thank the collective efforts of the Suffolk County DA's office, New York State Police, Suffolk County Sheriff's Office, the Gilgo Beach Task Force detectives, and the past detectives on this case. 13 years ago, Maureen was found murdered after she went missing for 3.5 years. Throughout these years, I had continued to hold on to hope that one day there would be justice for Maureen, and that whoever took Maureen's life would be held accountable.
Today is another important chapter in the long pursuit of justice for Maureen. It has been 16 years since the last time I saw my sister, 16 years since I heard her voice, because 16 years ago, she was silenced. Losing Maureen has become a wound that never truly heals. It remains a part of me. Maureen was a mother of 2 amazing children, and they will forever be without their mother. Sorry. Maureen was my older sister who was always there for me when I needed her. Maureen was inspired to be a writer, and she loved reading books. She was only 25 years old. She had a whole life ahead of her. Maureen would never get the chance to show the world how talented she was. My family will never get the chance to know who Maureen would be today, because her life was tragically taken. Throughout these 13 years, my family has painstakingly endured Maureen being judged and marginalized. Maureen was more than how she has been portrayed. She was first and foremost a loving mother, a caring sister, and a giving friend. With the loss of Maureen came unimaginable pain and panic. My life shattered with the confirmation of Maureen's death. Due to the experience of my sister going missing and being found murdered, I would suffer from PTSD. I would overthink every situation I deemed a threat because the worst possible thing in my life has happened. I became guarded. I overprotected the ones I loved around me because I knew firsthand that evil exists in this world. I want to ask everyone to please remember the victims: Maureen, Megan, Melissa, and Amber. I hope that everyone will also remember the other victims from whom charges has not been filed against any suspect. These victims had families. They were human beings with aspirations and hope for a better future for themselves. They have families who love and miss them. Maureen, Melissa, Megan, and Amber are no longer here to speak for themselves, and I am glad the family members of other victims are continuing to speak out for their loved ones, and I support them because they know their loved ones best, and they miss them more than anyone will ever know. Thank you.
Melissa and Nikki are not going to be taking questions today. However, if you have a few questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them. If you would like a copy of their statements and mine, I have a few copies here, but you can also email me, and most of you have my email. One last thing before I take a few questions. We have a photo. I could email it to you in color, but I do have it here in black and white. It shows Maureen with Nikki, when Nikki was a child. Why don't you step forward? Thank you. And you have permission to use the photo. Okay, this is the photo. Thank you. Yes, I couldn't hear you. Of the picture?
No, the sister and the
Oh, the sister, okay. Yeah, sister is Melissa Kahn, Melissa. Kahn is Cann. And then the daughter of Maureen is Nicolette Brainard-Barnes, Nicole Brainard, BRAINARD hyphen Barnes, BARNES. Thank you. I can't hear you. Oh, the ages of, okay, if they decide to disclose it.
I was 7 years old when my mom was missing.
Yes, you would like to know your age now.
Oh, and now I'm 24.
30.
30.
30. No, really, which one?
39.
Okay, 39, and that's for real. Okay, okay.
Was today's indictment more pain or relief to the crime?
I think that their goal has always been justice for Maureen, and that's what's most important. And also learning the truth about what really happened to Maureen. And so we'll find that out as we go. I'll be interested in hearing the defenses, and we'll see what happens. But they do want truth, they want justice, even though it's painful to know some of these horrifying details of, Maureen's last day on Earth. Even though it is so difficult to see some photos that no one would ever want to see of their loved ones, but it's necessary because from the prosecution's point of view, and I don't speak for them, they think it's important evidence that supports the charges and the allegations that they're making in this case. So this is real life. This is an important case. Those photos needed to be viewed by the grand jury, and the victims understand that. What happened here cannot be sugarcoated. It's real. And again, we'll see what the defense has to say.
What does justice look like to family members?
I think justice looks like what the jury decides in this case, based on the evidence and beyond a reasonable doubt.
You mentioned closure. Closure was going to be found in memory.
I don't think I mentioned closure, but I did hear the
Yeah, so.
district attorney Tierney mentioned closure.
Exactly. You mentioned some closure regarding the indictment. What does closure then look like?
Oh. I think this is a process, and I'll leave it to them to comment on what that looks like when we reach the end of the process.
The suspect was charged with the murders of 3 other women last summer. For your clients, what have the past several months been like, waiting, presumably hoping for a charge for Maureen, past several months, let alone years?
I think you could see the continuing heartbreaking pain that Missy Melissa has experienced every day since her sister went missing, all of these many years. So in other words, since 2007. They had confidence that there would be a thorough investigation and hope that Maureen would be a victim who was not shut out of this lack of evidence, but that there would be sufficient evidence to proceed. And I think that all the law enforcement agencies were very careful, and they took the time needed. Yes, of course, it's always difficult for victims' family members, who I also call victims, to have to wait patiently and not to know much of what's going on because they can't be told. But they did it, and we're here today. Yeah, okay, so thank you again for coming.
Well, there we have it. What say you to chat about what's been said? I'm the only one in here, 30 viewers. Thank you for the thumbs up. Trying to see if Evie, are you still in the chat? Evie, are you still in the chat? Are you still listening? Sent you a message. What about my other IG fans? Lisa, Tina, Olivia. Are you all listening to this information? Any of you in the viewing audience? Let me see if Lisa's up. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me. That's the same information. The daughter spoke and the sister spoke of Miss Brainard-Barnes. Very sad story. I'm just waiting to see, will he be linked to some more victims? Because like I said, imagine that. More victims tied to him, and then DNA from the daughter and the mother also on those victims. How are you going to explain that? I'm just saying. I don't know how that's going to be possible. Not good. Lisa, are you up? Evie? I got 31 viewing. Any of my IG fans in the chat? Just curious. Well, they said that message can't be delivered. I don't know. Strange. Evie, are you still on IG? I don't know. That's the said information. I'm trying to dissect this these hairs on the victims. Talking about 2 victims now. It's a bit much. Thank you all so much for joining me. This is live number 2. Ooh, what a mess. Some news station has done a documentary, just like about 10 minutes long or so. I saw a clip of it in the YouTube queue pertaining to a witness, and that's one of the ladies that went on a date with him, and she said he acted strange. I'm sure many of you probably who are following this case saw her commentary pertaining to going on a date with him, and he was so immersed, Mr. Rex, talking about the Gilgo Beach murders, and she got a weird vibe from him, assuming that perhaps he was the killer. Can you imagine that, sitting across from somebody trying to decide if you want to go on a sex date with this person, and then they're talking about the Gilgo Beach murders. And then fast forward 2023, he's arrested for a few murders of the Gilgo Beach victims found. Just imagine that. That's scary. So you don't know people. You think you're just going on some innocent date with a guy, sexual purposes, exchange of money. You don't even know anything about him. You're just hoping that you'll just do the deed, get your money, and get on out of there. But there are no guarantees. Just like there are no guarantees if you go on a date with a guy, you decide to go back to his place, or you get in his car, or he comes into your house, however it goes. Or you might be in a public place and it's dark. Want to walk through the park or something. Next thing you know, he decides to attack you. You hear all kind of wicked stories pertaining to women and girls when it's just platonic. Just could be a chance meeting, or you decide to go on a date with them. This is why, even if it's not prostitution involved, you have to be very careful as a female going anywhere with a man. Meeting in public is one thing, but you need to go your separate way at the end of the night. Who is this speaking right here? Random commenter. Yes. Random commenter, are you on IG? Yeah, because she said she couldn't decide if she wanted to go, have a date with him or not. But I guess anybody sitting at a table with a person and you know what you're thinking about doing with them, and then they start talking about dead girls, dead women, and you've heard of the story, you've heard of the women being found out there, you should already know, no, you don't need to go anywhere with this person. He could have talked about any other subject matter during that dinner date. Why are you talking about dead women? And then if information was revealed at that time that the women were sex workers, and you're sitting here on a date with a sex worker, hello? Oh, you're not? Okay, I thought you was on IG. I was maybe see if you wanted to call me up, give me your commentary on this subject matter. That's fine. Trying to find somebody else that might want to give their commentary on the DNA, because that's pertinent. Now, many will say, well, they lived in the same house. What's the big deal? It's going to be a big deal if they find hairs on more victims. And as I said, God forbid, they test fingernails and DNA comes back belonging to that woman or her daughter. How are you going to explain that? Because I'm assuming they clipped all the fingernails off the victims, the ladies. That's the first thing you definitely want to do, is clip all fingernails. Swab their mouth, all their private cavities below the belly button. Check the inside for DNA, any type of sperm. Wow. This is definitely wicked. And brush with death, you got that right. Because I can't even imagine. I mean, I can't. For the world of me, I cannot imagine going on a date with somebody to do that, even exchange of funds, and then they turn on you. And you already know he had no intention of paying them. Just set the date up to murder them. Because at some point, when you start racking up the bodies, you can't keep saying it's second-degree murder. That doesn't even make logical sense. You got too many bodies already. You're at 4. So you can't say it's second-degree murder. How can you say it's second-degree murder and you already have 4 bodies? That you've linked the man to the ladies. It's not second-degree murder, it's first-degree, because he knew he wanted to take a life when he solicited them, put up a profile, however, he solicited them or they solicited him first, however it went. He knew what he wanted to do, because there are too many dead people now to say it's second-degree murder. What are the odds you just keep going on dates with women and they end up dead? Come on. Oh, but I didn't do it. Burner phones linked to you, different Gmail accounts, fake names, your automobile. They were talking about that in that news clipping I was watching this morning when I fell asleep on it. Your car was already on the radar when the roommate of Miss Barnes told them the description of his truck, that Avalanche, and they just pushed it under the rug. Now we got this lady in South Carolina that her daughter believes Rex is the guy she saw with her mother. Mother never seen again. Very scary. And he does have ties to South Carolina. I believe an automobile was seized from South Carolina under his name on the title of an automobile. Las Vegas. There's no telling where he's been and what he's been doing. And I refuse to believe he only killed women when his wife and daughter and son were out of town. Yeah, okay. So then we got to ask that question. Who is the last victim of Rex Heuermann? Where are they located? Out there in that marsh already recovered? New Jersey, Las Vegas, South Carolina, hell, Maryland, I don't know. And he's surely not going to tell you. Oh, yeah, those other people out there, I killed them too. He's going to lie till the very end, until the very end. What got me is when I read he cried. I was just like, are you serious? You big old lump of clay crying about what exactly? Oh, you're crying that you've been caught. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I cried too. Sitting up here, towering inferno, 6'5" or 6'6", however tall he is, 6'4" to 6'6", I'm not really sure. But just a big old lump of clay, crying when he got arrested. Well, he's very quiet, he doesn't talk very much. Well, he cried allegedly. And this Asa character, something about her is off to me. That's my opinion. Just her appearance. And I understand that was a trying time, to have your house raided and tore up. I get all of that. But from the investigator's point of view, the house was not in no great shape, outside or inside. It was a space that you could not even move around. So they didn't care about their things or their belongings or the house, and they didn't care about those children. You talk about that as well. Grown children, but at one point they were underage, living in the house with these two people while women were being murdered, mind you. So imagine that. So let's talk about that. That might be another live one day, because I got a little time on here. I'm an hour and 13 minutes in. I can go ahead and just put this out here. Rex Heuermann was looking at kiddie porn. I'll let that sit right there. Okay. Rex Heuermann was looking at kiddie porn, everybody. He has a daughter, an autistic son. Did he ever touch his daughter inappropriately or any other children? Because you just don't wake up at 50 plus years old watching kiddie porn, violent porn, simulation of unaliving a person in porn. So has he ever assaulted his own children or anyone else's children? How many victims are out there in the state of New York unrecovered? Any other states unrecovered? Is the wife involved in any of the said crimes that he has been charged with? 4 victims so far. What is her knowledge of the crimes? Participate during or afterwards in disposing of the bodies. Wrapping the women in tarp, anyone abduction. If you find 4 people in an area and they're disposed of in the same area, in the same manner, one would use deduction, it's the same killer. Duh. But naturally, you have to follow protocol and check all cavities on the body, check the clothing, so on and so forth, and what they were wrapped in. And why that? Why that type of wrapping? I'm curious. Already had it, or went out and purchased it just for unaliving women? Didn't drive far either to discard the bodies. Let me drive these women a little ways out. Now imagine he's a big guy, the women are petite, so they wouldn't be a lot to drag or carry either underarm, over the shoulder, but you have to park your car. I don't think people really realize the details and the work it takes in discarding of a human being. You're gonna pull over on the side of a highway in the dark to take a body out and dump it. And you got to be able to get out into that marsh, don't know how deep the water was or not, and discard the body. And then come back out of there and get in your car. Not thinking law enforcement could be riding by, stop, check the car out, and here you are coming out the marsh. And what would you say? Just imagine that for just a second. Let's role play. Sir, what are you doing out there? Oh, I had to go to the bathroom really, really bad. And the cop probably would believe it. Well, where are you coming from? Where are you going? Now he's got to make up something. Oh, I was just coming from, make up something. Naturally, they'll run his tags. That'd be the right thing to do. Make sure he doesn't have any warrants, isn't wanted. Run his name, everything comes back clean. Okay, sir, well, just be careful next time. And all along, there's a body sitting out there. Bodies, plural. Very scary. And I always wonder this when I hear of bodies being disposed. I mean, I don't care where the body's disposed. Could be in a garbage can, could be in an alley, it's all the same. The fact these people are never caught in discarding the body, that's what amazes me. Number 2, always somebody around to know what you're doing. Nosy people, nosy neighbors. But the one time when people are murdered, discarded, ain't nobody seen anything. Don't you find that interesting? You know when your neighbor comes home, how long they sat in the driveway, what they had in their hand when they got out of the car. But Lord, when it comes to bringing a body out, you didn't see that. Imagine that. When was the last kill for Rex Heuermann? The numerous searches. This man searched these people like a stalker. Any story pertaining to these dead women, their relatives, Google searches on why the killer wasn't detected, apprehended. Very creepy business. And what's even more creepy is that he had a family, he was a neighbor, he had a consulting firm, architectural consulting firm. He worked with employees, people walking by him every day in New York, Manhattan, going in and out of the building, restaurants, the neighborhood. He had family members. What do these people have to say besides the ones who have spoken publicly? One neighbor has spoken up, had a brief altercation with him because his car was parked over the sidewalk near his driveway at his house. And Mr. Rex became very irate over that. So now we have this creepy, crawly serial killer who wants everybody to obey the rules of the streets. Are y'all hearing this? And you see people like this. They have a bad temperament. They want to pretend to be right fighters of the law, but then they are going out here committing heinous crimes. This is why I tell you, you don't know people. All this foolishness about they're nice people, they're law-abiding citizens, they don't have criminal records. Well, how do you think most people became criminals? Because they had to commit a crime. So it doesn't matter that they're Jew, Arab, Muslim, Christian, white, black, tall, short, fat, Hispanic. Anybody can cross over. Oh, yes. I wanted to know if you wanted to call you, if you wanted to speak on this case, Evie. That's why I messaged you. I'm sorry, sweetie. I was trying to get somebody else's opinion before I check out of here. But it's just ridiculous. And these cases show you that you don't know people. Imagine all the people he has crossed paths, have crossed Mr. HEUERMANN. And they had no idea that they were living and talking to a serial killer at the Starbucks, the grocery store, the insurance company, whoever he dealt with. Went to take your car to be serviced. There is a serial killer sitting in the waiting room. You don't know. Going into the public restroom. Well, you're in there with a serial killer. Well, let's say the wife didn't know. Now she knows. She wants to go to court to hear all the information. Could it be she wants to go to court so she can see what the hell they have on her? I'm just saying. She don't know people. Like I said, what is going to be disturbing is if more bodies are linked to Mr. Rex and we keep getting evidence linking also to the wife and the daughter. How many times are we going to say this is transference? Okay, what is Evie talking about? Oh, okay. Thank you, Evie. Sorry to hear that. I didn't know if you covered this case or not. I mean, if you've been watching it, I didn't know if maybe you would like to just, give a brief opinion. I was going to call you on IG. Nice profile. I see you, girl. Hold on 1 second, sweetheart. Well, I hope you get to feeling better. Happy New Year. Belated Christmas. That's what's so interesting about these types of crimes. Any type of crime dealing with any type of unaliving of a human and the person has not been apprehended, it's very scary because common sense would tell you that that person is walking out here amongst us. And you have no idea what your neighbors are doing. The insurance guy, the cable guy, your friend, your boyfriend, husband, girlfriend, whatever the situation is, you don't know what people are doing out here. And that's the one secret that nobody wants out. Hello? I don't want anybody to know I'm killing women, prostitutes. But I sure like watching porn of them. Porn of people having sex, kiddie porn, violent porn, deviant sexual acts. I'm sure that's all he did in his spare time. He stayed on the internet looking at pornography. Very scary. Okay, that's fine, sweetie. She don't know people. And that's what's so scary about this case. These cases. These were women trying to make money for whatever reason, and now they're not here. As you heard this young lady speaking, she can't even remember the sound of her mother's voice. She and the aunt spoke. I'm assuming the aunt raised her. I'm not sure. But that's horrible. The sister has spoken highly of her sister. She said she was very smart. She liked to read. She used to read to the daughter. The daughter said the mother used to read to her. Child didn't know what the mother was doing in her spare time. She's not supposed to know. So I wondered, did the family know that she was a working girl? Curious. Did any of the girls who were found deceased, did their families know that they were working as sex workers? And the one guy who I've heard from, he was Miss Brainard's roommate. I'm assuming he knew what she did. I'm assuming. Very scary. This is why you have to be careful when you're out here as a woman talking to people, venturing out in public at night, going to bars, functions, meeting with people, trying to date. You don't know people. You can become a victim and not be a sex worker. You could just be minding your damn business when trouble comes your way. You could be on a date. You could be dating someone. They're unglued, unraveled in the brain. Then you have those that are sadists that are walking, peeping through windows, looking for that opportunity to break into your house, accost you out in public on a walking trail. Doesn't matter. As you see with Theodore Bundy, he was infamous for his mechanisms for getting women into his car. A deviant sexual sadist. And each killer mechanism was different. Dahmer was different, picking the men up in the bars. Ted Bundy picking them up while out looking. They're walking in public, using rules of having his arm in a sling or crutches. Some men are stalkers. They like to peek through windows and then break in and then assault their victims. And then sometimes rapists become murderers because once they have been ID'd as a rapist, peeping Tom, they want to make sure it doesn't happen again. So then the next time they decide to break into a house, assault a woman, they unalive the victim as not to be prosecuted. So now we have rapist / murderer. And you hear that a lot. You don't know people. Rex Heuermann will probably deny this until he leaves the earth. He's not going to care about the DNA. He's going to come back. He's going to do a coy burger. This is what he's going to say. Well, okay. You got me. Yes, I had sexual relations with those women, but I did not unalive them. That's what's going to be next. When trial starts, that is what the defense is going to tell you. That yes, Mr. Rex had relations with the women, but he did not unalive them. And then the state is going to rebut, well, what are the odds, depending on how many women they're going to bring forward as victims? How is it that you've had sex with all these women and they were all found discarded in the marsh, Gilgo Beach? What are the odds of that? So what are you saying? Somebody was stalking you, sir? Somebody was following you around while you were having sexual relations with these women? They wanted to set you up? They'll probably say that in court. I won't doubt it. Oh my goodness, somebody didn't like me. They were after me. They saw I was meeting with these women and they set me up. After I had relations with the women, they then went and got the women, kidnapped them and murdered them and threw them in the marsh. Okay. Very scary. And he's a big man. Have you noticed? Towering Inferno, that's what I call him. Because he is a blaze of fire. Hell on earth. Just imagine that thing making small talk in the office, on the internet. Hi, can we meet? You sure are pretty. Then you get behind closed doors with them. Now you see the monster in full effect. Just imagine that. I can't and I don't want to, because that's the most horrible thing, to be conversing with a person and then all of a sudden they turn on you. And now they're reaching for your head, your hair, choking you, pulling you by your hair, slamming your face into the wall or floor or whatever. And you're sitting here thinking, dear God, how did I get in this situation? I'm sure those ladies thought that when he turned on them. How many people were murdered at the house where he and the wife lived? I'm curious. Were any women unalived in that Heuermann home on Long Island? any unalived in a hotel, motel. I'll tell you one part of this story that's interesting, if I'm to believe this lady's assertions, that she picked him up as a cab driver from a motel. And he started making derogatory and odd statements to her while in the cab. Oh, yeah, I asked for you specifically. Then he started talking crazy to her, telling her to pull over, to go into the woods. Are you all hearing what I'm saying to you? Why would I take you into the woods? Oh my goodness, I can't. Another lady, allegedly, who had a brush with death, shall we say. Yes, sir. Hi, how are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. Great. You know, I requested you. Yeah, really? Why? I just wanted to be in your car. Okay, sir, where are you going? You say you're going where? Just keep driving. Sir, I need to know where you're going. Just keep driving, I said. Sir, I need to know, where are we going? Well, go turn up there at the third turn. Sir, that's going into the woods. I know. That's where I want to go. Excuse me? I'm not taking you to the woods, sir. But that's where I want to go. Just imagine that conversation. Lord have mercy. I think about all the times in the past 2 or so years, on and off me doing deliveries, going up to people's homes, like I told you, dropping off packages, you know, whatever I had to pick up for the people. Most I didn't go in their houses. One elderly person, I had to go in their garage and drop their, you know, belongings off, you know, the package at the door. And then one elderly man had me drop off something. He told me to come inside the house and drop it inside the kitchen. But see, that's all it takes is that one mishap. Just imagine my car running outside and I walk in the garage and the garage door comes down. Stay woke. The incident at the trailer park where I had to take the food and didn't know which house was which because there weren't no numbers, no nothing. And the lady comes out to tell me, oh, you're at the wrong one. She lives over there. That could have been a mishap. Pulling up into somebody's driveway, waiting for somebody to come out so I can make sure, you know, I'm at the right place. And then somebody comes up, might have a rifle or gun pointed toward the glass. See, you don't ever know how things are going to jump off. And then being a rideshare driver, the most dangerous of jobs besides being a delivery person. Putting people inside of your car. And a lot of people say to themselves, I don't really get it. How the passenger could be a sadist and how the driver can be a sadist because both of our IDs and names are in the system for the ride share. But if you're sick and you don't give to you-know-whats, you could always steal somebody's ID, upload it into the database as a customer or the driver, and the stupid people on the app think that's you. But it's stolen information. Now imagine that. I bet a lot of you have never thought about that. Imagine a sadist uploads somebody's picture, insurance information, car information to be, let's say, an Uber driver. Hello, Crystal. Thank you, sweetie. And then goes out here picking up strangers and trying to decide which one he wants to assault. And the person's getting in the car, they think they're safe because the person's been verified through the Uber app, Lyft app, whichever. But how many times have we heard the stories of the driver being crazy, popping off, violent, fighting, using a weapon, sadist, didn't take the person where they're supposed to go, assaulting them physically or sexually, and also the passenger doing the same. So you can't bet on that. They uploaded their picture and insurance information into the app. Who's to say the app didn't make a mistake and didn't really look close at the picture to realize what? Because guess what? You don't talk to anybody personally. Who's looking at your picture to compare it to what exactly? A video chat call? There's no video chatting to sign up to be an Uber or Lyft driver. Yes, scary world we live in, exactly. So I'm giving you something food for thought before I check out of here. You just uploading your information because all they want to see is the photo ID, which is a driver license, legal license, insurance information of your vehicle, the registration, and then they do the background check. After that, all bets are off. So now we've got a sadist impersonating somebody or his first round of sadism. Because you got to remember, a sadist has to start somewhere. So this may be his first start. Okay, I'll be a delivery driver or Uber driver, and I get the right person in here, make sure I pick up somebody that appears inebriated, drunk, high. I ask her, do you want me to help you out of the car, ma'am? You don't seem to be feeling well, looking well. And she says, oh, no, I'm okay. I got it. And then he gets out of the car anyway. Who's to say that when he goes around to the door to try to help her, he stuns her with a stun gun or hits her over the head with a hammer? I don't mean to be descriptive, but I'm giving you what actually happens to people out here. Now he's pushed her back into the car, jumps in his driver's seat, locks the doors, and off he goes with the victim. How many incidents have I heard of women getting into the car on dates, rideshare driving that went wrong? Very, very wrong. And they were running for their life. I think it was 2 years ago, a black lady out in, what was it, Texas or somewhere. Driver didn't take her where she was supposed to go. She ended up at a warehouse. Oh, let me say that again. She ended up at a warehouse and baby girl became the bionic woman. She took off running until she got to safety. Let's just say she was one of the lucky ones. Because this might be, her case may have been a human trafficking case. Because why are you taking somebody to a warehouse? That's not where she told you she was going. This world is dangerous. This is why you have to be aware of your surroundings. Women are targets every day. Children are targets every day. The elderly are targets. So long as you are breathing, you are a target. So you do not know when somebody is going to assault you, whether you are a prostitute, a sex worker, private dancer, stripper, nurse, student, elderly person. People assault people everywhere. Okay, Evie wants to call me. Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate that. Hello?
Hi.
Hey, you changed your mind?
Yeah, I said I'll give you a few minutes.
Well, come on. Tell me what you think about Mr. Rex Heuermann and the DNA from the hair, from his hair, the wife's hair, and the daughter's hair on some of the victims.
Well, you know, in regards to his wife and daughter, you know, they live in the same
Yes,
house.
of course, yes.
You know, so I can see that happening unless the wife is involved somehow. Maybe he was abusing her in some type of way because we don't really know the dynamics of their marriage.
We don't.
You know.
But I think we can say it wasn't good.
No, it wasn't. I'm not too familiar with the case. I do know what's going on. But as far as the charges, I think he should be charged as a serial killer. I'm not sure if they are charging him, you know, as a serial killer.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Huh?
What are you trying to say? He should be labeled as one?
Yes.
Well, he's been labeled as one.
Yeah.
Well, they knew that the person was a serial killer because the women were wrapped in the same wrapping, the burlap.
Right.
Some of the women, you understand what I'm saying? So we're going to assume, even before we found out who he was, that it's the same person. Because what are the odds you got 4 bodies laying beside in the same demographic, wrapped in the same burlap?
Right.
Yeah.
Because serial killers have their calling cards, so to speak. You know, through the history of serial killers, they all have their little niche, so to speak, of what they do to, you know, just to have people wonder, okay, we have the same person that's doing this.
Okay.
The whole case is just crazy, but I'm really happy that they had the breakthrough to pinpoint, you know, a suspect.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But I think he would have been found already had this chief not been so dirty and doing, you know, mischievous things with the police department, because all this information is not new. It's only new to us. It's been out, you know, collected. This was collected 14 years or so ago.
Right. So that makes you wonder if he had some kind of connection to this guy.
I won't doubt it.
When money's involved.
Exactly.
You know, you don't know what money, you know, covers up a lot of things.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So,
Latrice says, I would have been horrified to find out that my father or husband was a serial killer. How you feel about that?
Oh, I totally agree with that statement. It is horrifying, you know, not only involved in such a heinous case, but you were also speaking about, you know, that he was watching kiddie porn.
Yes.
And that, you know, when you brought up the question, do you think, you know, he had children?
Yes, and a daughter and the son.
Said, we don't know the dynamics. This guy is, you know, he's he's perverted.
Yeah.
You know, so, and, you know, he has a child who's autistic. You know, I don't know if the child is verbal or not, you know. So how deep does the rabbit hole go?
Right.
In regards to his family.
Right.
Especially, you know, from my understanding, the condition of the house wasn't that great.
Yeah,
you know,
it was a hoarder's house.
Right. How much does the wife know? How much was her involvement? Yeah. So these are questions.
But you have heard about the lady who said she met at the house with them. You have heard of that, the black lady? Okay, so let me spin this to you. A black lady goes out with a detective from New York. They don't mention his race. He takes her and one of the victims. He picks up the victim who was disheveled looking out to Rex's house allegedly. The black lady says they all went in the house together. She did see Miss Asa, but Asa did not want to partake in sex with her. Stay woke now. And everybody went their separate way in the house to do their thing. This is how I feel about that. The defense is going to keep saying she was gone when he killed these people. But what you're not saying is where he killed them at. To say she wasn't there with her children. This lady is putting her there with the victim also there. Left behind by she and the detective. And the girl was screaming through the window or something or running outside acting erratic. And the detective says, oh, they're just playing a game. So they left her there.
Right. So did the detective, you know, what was going on with this, what Rex was doing? You know what I'm saying? There are people who will band together for sick stuff like this.
I know
you know
that.
what I mean?
Well, that's the reason why the cases never got solved, because of the people, the chief who was running the police department at the time, he was dirty. He just got arrested again a year or so ago for public indecency and solicitation of men.
It could have been a whole ring for all we know.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. I think it's more than just Rex involved.
Oh, yeah.
And I do believe in some capacity he had his wife involved.
Yeah, I believe so too. Because it's something about her, the vibe I'm getting is a also nonchalant numbness. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when people are being groomed, maybe he groomed her somewhere down the line to the swinging, and then it escalated into torture. Come on, join in. I won't doubt she has knowledge of nefarious deeds in his house and the disposing of the victims.
Well, let's say he was unaliving them in his house.
Yeah.
That's a lot of evidence that you have to get rid of.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure she stumbled across stuff.
Yeah.
And then let's say she didn't. So if he is doing this in his house, then that could explain the transfer of hairs.
Yes, of course.
It's in his house, So there's so many different
I understand.
avenues, and it's just a lot of twists and turns.
Yeah. But at some point, it's not going to look right if we get more victims that's got their hair on them.
Right.
Because you're at 4 now.
Right.
3 or 4. That's still too many.
Right.
That's just to me. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had to step down because my daughter just got
Okay.
here,
All right. Be careful. Thank you. Yes. Scott Peterson is the subject tomorrow if you want to join.
Oh, yeah. I definitely want to.
Okay. I'll call you. Okay, honey.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody. That's Evie. Thank you for joining me, sweetheart. Paula, say what, Paula? Yes, Latrice, a detective from New York allegedly took this black lady out to the house with one of the victims, and they ended up leaving Rex's house without the victim, the one that was in distress. Allegedly, this is a woman's account. You either believe it or don't believe it. But nonetheless, a lady was running around outside or something, and she was telling the guy, the detective, hey, aren't we taking her back? Aren't we taking her back? And he said, no, they're playing a game. So perhaps the detective knew what Rex was doing, torturing unaliving women, or playing a dirty game of torture in the house. He had some knowledge. We'll leave it at that. I don't know if this lady's lying or not, but officials should have her name by now because she is represented by a certain lawyer. So we will see what happens when he goes to trial. Who's going to come out and testify against Rex as having entanglements with him, close calls with him, being stalked by him. We have victims who say they were stalked by him. He called them after murdering their loved ones. He was stalking the siblings of the victims. So Mr. Rex was very busy. He was a busybody. Latrice says, I bet she knows about it. She wasn't surprised. Okay, Latrice. Well, one person put all those bodies in one area on the beach also because it's a coincidence that the hair was found on 4 victims. Okay, right, taking the lamb to slaughter. Okay, how egregious. Yes. Everything in that house has DNA, hair, whatever on it. Yes, of course. And that's another thing, as Evie was saying. They all lived in this house, close quarters. So it's easy to say, oh, her hair was on this and that. But as I told Evie, when the body starts stacking high, we get to victim 5, 6, 7, 8. By the time he goes to trial, how are you going to explain that to 12 members of a jury, Mr. Defense Attorney, that hair is on now more than 4 victims of the mother, the daughter, and Rex Heuermann? That is going to be your defense. Oh, well, they live in the same house, but you still got to explain, what are they doing on dead bodies? Ting! Oops, y'all forgot about that. Because he's claiming he didn't kill the women. Hello. He didn't kill the women. So what will his defense be? That will probably be another live I bring to you this week. What will his defense be? Well, I did sleep with them. Okay, you got me. I slept with them, all right? But I didn't kill them. They must have got picked up by some other John. And he murdered them. Well, what a coincidence that you've had sex with 4 people who ended up dead, wrapped in burlap in the marsh. Imagine that. That's why I tell you have to always pay attention to the details. Because that's what he's got to say now to explain all 3 DNA hairs on the victims. He has no choice but to now say, yes, I knew the women. I talked to them. I solicited them. I met with them. Now, as Evie said, did he kill them in the house? Because I refuse to believe, and I meant to ask Evie that, does she believe that the women were murdered in that house or one or more were murdered in the house? Very scary. Because as I said, you don't know people. That will be my next poll. 1 second, everybody. I'm going to put that up while I've got you all in the chat. Thank you so much for joining me. Got to get back over here to my YouTube screen. One moment, you guys. I'm going to put the poll up. So I've got only 40 people viewing. That's fine. I appreciate you patronizing on this Sunday evening. Please go back and watch my earlier live stream pertaining to the 3 men found dead in Kansas City. Their friend says he doesn't know anything about their dead bodies lying outside in the yard. I'm giving you continued coverage on that said storyline. Thank you so much. Waiting on autopsies for the 3 friends. So we will see what happens. I'm going to go in the chat. Hold on 1 second, you guys. So I cannot put the poll up. Very scary. Before I check out, I'm going to play some content. What'd you say, Latrice? You think she did? I think he possibly, he killed them at the house, the women? Okay. Crystal says, I want to hear his lies. You all are so funny. Let's take the poll. You're going to have 3 options. Yes, no, and not sure. Let me say 1. Kill 1. Take the poll. I can't even say nothing about those 3 men. My girlfriend said, don't comment. What do you mean, Crystal? You can comment. Just don't use any profanity. Or, derogatory language. Because YouTube will delete the message. Because right now they've deleted the message without me having to do anything. YouTube moderates my videos while I'm using the YouTube app.
I don't think I'll sleep until I catch this guy.
The person who murdered Lynn Bartholomew's daughter, Melissa, and continues to haunt her youngest child.
I'm scared of my own protection. The fact that he was calling my phone, I have to be worried about, is that going to happen to me one day?
They had been taunted by this guy. And that had come out in the course of reporting out this story that he had called their families, taunted them, and talked about what he had done to their loved one.
Over the next 5 weeks or so, he would call the then 15-year-old 5 more times, eerily each time from Melissa's cell, at one point saying he had killed Melissa.
They were very taunting and angry words. My heart would stop and just didn't know what to do mostly.
He had a system. He had a clear system. Burner phones. He stalked people on social media. He stalked the families on social media.
The Suffolk DA describing to the judge how Heuermann used 7 different burner phones. He would take selfies on them like these and use them to search for victims and violent pornography. He even searched obsessively for the relatives of his victims.
And he was doing it from Midtown Manhattan. There were sounds of traffic in the background, and we've been hearing all of this. And the families and their representatives had been telling us this for years. And the police had not. The police had been very careful not to reveal this information.
He talked to him on the phone, Latrice.
Various iterations of the leadership in the.
Let me interject. The women had his number, honey, because they talked on the phone. How are you going to set up the date without having a phone number? They had cell phones back in 2010, 2009, 7. He has their numbers, the victims' numbers, and then he watched social media and news clippings to get the victims' relatives' numbers. You know, people have spoken publicly about their loved one being, missing and then found. So he found numbers to reach the siblings and relatives of the deceased women.
Police department.
When we talked about, not going before the media, if you see, Rodney did go before the media, but it was always in a very controlled manner, and it was always with a controlled purpose. Again, we did that because we knew we were playing before an audience of one person.
I want to know actually what he was doing during that time. And we know he was going to work, he had a family.
We know that he is 59 years old, lived in Massapequa Park, and worked in Manhattan, was married and had 2 children.
He was functioning in New York City as a building engineer.
Rex Heuermann, I'm an architect, I'm an architectural consultant, I'm a troubleshooter, born and raised on Long Island.
Okay.
Been working in Manhattan since 1987.
But with respect to the 4 women that we covered that have been attributed to him, I mean, how aware was he of every step of the search, and how was he consuming that information?
Searching on the internet at one point, why hasn't the Long Island serial killer been found?
He was Googling about himself.
In a 14-month period, he had over 200 searches pertaining to the Gilgo investigation.
Even through this, I never became like an expert on the psychology of a serial killer. I mean, there are people who focus on this, but what little I know is that they are, incessantly narcissistic, right? They want credit for what they've done. They want people to know about what they've done.
He was compulsively searching pictures of the victims, but not only pictures of the victims, pictures of their relatives, their sisters, their children, and he was trying to locate those individuals.
He asked me if I knew about the Gilgo Beach murders. And back then, I was like, oh, he's just from that area. But now, I just see it as a serial killer kind of just putting it in somebody's face.
There's some kind of thrill of the hunt, of being the hunted and staying a step ahead of investigators.
We knew that this one person would be watching. We didn't want to give him any insight into what we were doing. And we also didn't want him to know just how close we were getting.
It was such a close call that I almost don't even know if I can carry on in my industry.
Following Rex Heuermann's arrest, I ended up speaking with a woman who was a sex worker in this area around that time.
Once I had the name, I ran him through the screening tools that we have to keep us safe. One of the phone numbers was saved as do not answer. If I get a vibe from somebody that this person is scary or that they might try and contact me from like another number, that's when I'll save them as do not answer. So it's really scary to find out that the person was actually only less than a mile from me.
Were you working on Long Island during the time of these disappearances?
Yes, I was. And I was avoiding... Sorry?
Take your time.
I was avoiding calls to the Hamptons because I thought that's where the person was. And so I started working in the city. And then to find out that the person's actually working in the city and living right next to me is just really scary.
There were several sex workers that spoke out after his arrest. It was chilling to hear what they had to say.
I had a really, really bad feeling. Like my gut was like telling me I needed to get away from him.
Former escort Nikki Brass, who says Heuermann solicited her approximately 8 years ago. He actually mentioned the Gilgo case.
When he talked about it, he would like speak in a they and hypothetical, but he had this like smile on his face that made me really uneasy.
It sent shivers up the back of my neck as we're listening to what she's describing, and you think of what could have happened and what she managed to avoid.
One thing I struggle with as an investigative reporter is that we know that this tip about the Chevy Avalanche belonging to this gentleman who was last seen with Amber Costello, that tip came in 2010.
He was driving a dark-colored, black, first-generation Chevrolet Avalanche with a unique feature that was between it's a pickup truck, so it was between the cab and the bed, and that was identified. Again, that was back in
6466.
For law enforcement to not take that tip seriously until 12 years later is something that is highly questionable.
It wasn't until March of 2022 that that database was searched by the task force and this individual was identified.
That tip was called in by Amber Costello's roommate and friend because he knew that Amber had disappeared.
She wouldn't just leave with anyone.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. Correction. I said Brainard's roommate. It was Miss Costello's roommate. We need to put a correction on my page for that. Not the last victim had the roommate. It's this guy speaking here, Miss Costello. She is one of the victims. It's her roommate that gave the information about the avalanche. Sorry about that.
You know, she wasn't stupid, you know, and even though it was money like that, you know, it kind of makes me believe that she was comfortable enough with this person.
Amber Costello, the day before her disappearance on September 1st, 2010, she met with an individual for the purposes of having him pay her money for her services, but she involved herself in a ruse where once the individual gave her money, other individuals came into the house, pretended to be significant others, confronted the individual with the purpose of making that individual uncomfortable, having him leave without retrieving his money. And that's exactly what happened.
He knew that Amber had probably been harmed, and he knew the last person who was with her, this gentleman that had come into the house.
She wound up leaving with, you know, that night.
That individual was identified as a person who was between 6'4" and 6'6", a large man, thickly built and dark hair.
So why, 12 years later, is this the first time that police are really looking at that tip? Police have not been able to provide a good answer to that question.
Honestly, what has Rex Heuermann been doing all this time?
Well, police can't provide anything because the police department that was handling it pushed it under the rug. We've seen the fallout of what happened with the police chief and so on and so forth. And the question I have to pose again, does this police department still have some unsavory detectives and cops working that worked under that chief? People have to stay woke. Just because you get rid of one bad apple, that doesn't mean that there are other apples that aren't still in the bunch. So you probably kept this under wraps, not just so Rex wouldn't find out that you were close. You couldn't trust other law enforcement. Say that. I think you need to say that. We don't trust our own because it's our own that let this slip through the cracks for so many years. We're talking about over 14 years or so. Okay? It's 24. 2007. It's a long time. If we go back to 2007, that's 17 years. 16 years. It's a long time to have a killer walking around. And that needs to always be said in this case, that the police department failed the victims and the community by not properly investigating this case, because there are probably some guys who knew what was going on or had an idea of a suspect and pushed it under the rug. So you don't know what they learned, the people who were originally handling the case. and what the chief knew and the detectives under him and sergeants and so on and so forth, who's going to sit up here and say, oh, yeah, I dropped the ball. Yeah, I should have done this. Oh, I should have known my job. That's the purpose of having a title. You're supposed to perfect the craft under the title. So what, honey? When there's one bad apple on the tree, there's many. Well, yeah. Latrice, do you have Instagram? Ms. Harmon, do you have Instagram? Would you like to give me your story of what happened to you the night you went to get the cigarettes? You can send me a message and I'll let you call me to give your commentary. Sure. One moment, honey.
Only a suspect, he hasn't been convicted, but if in fact he did this, why would he have stopped in 2010? And so for all the time that went by, and you know, they caught him on a tip that they got way back when, thing about the truck. So what I want to know is has he theoretically killed anybody else? And could that have been prevented if they ran this case more professionally from the start?
We still don't know where these women were murdered. Their bodies were found at Gilgo, but that doesn't mean that's where they were killed. And so that is something that is still part of this investigation.
Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney visits the site, answering the burning question if he thinks anyone might have been killed in HEUERMANN's house.
Evidence does not point either one way or the other.
Could Rex
You can't. How are you going to tell with all that stuff in there?
Absolutely.
Huh.
That's what investigators are going to have to figure out.
Bodies, the demographics were a little different, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to take a closer look and see if Rex HEUERMANN is attached to them or other bodies that might have been discovered throughout the state.
Do the killings of the other victims resemble the Gilgo Four?
Exactly.
They do not. They are not just looking at Rex HEUERMANN for these other killings.
Okay.
We'll continue to go after those that commit
possibly other ones.
This is an extended period of time for these homicides to happen. That means there's that many more potential suspects because the amount of time that has gone by.
The case now expanding across the country with investigators searching HEUERMANN's property in Las Vegas and in South Carolina, where they retrieved this pickup truck believed to be connected to the killing.
Suffolk County Police and the Gilgo Beach Task Force and the FBI will tell you they are investigating, working with all the police departments.
The investigators were never discouraged. They continued and uncovered evidence and followed leads. They never stopped working and will continue to work tirelessly until we bring justice to all the families involved.
We know so much about the Gilgo Four, and we know so little about everybody else. Those people were murdered, and those killers need to be found too.
I can't imagine what it must feel like so many years later to hear that there's finally an arrest in this case. I also can't imagine what it feels like to be a family member of one of the other victims. There's all this hoopla around this arrest, but there are 6 other victims whose cases have never been solved.
Exactly.
And may never be solved.
Rex HEUERMANN is charged in the murders of Megan Waterman, Melissa Bartholomew, and Amber Lynn Costello, whose bodies were found alone, Ocean Parkway on Long Island South Shore. And now you can add Miss BRAINARD-BARNES to that list. She is now victim number 4. ABC 7 New York is the source, and this was uploaded 2 days ago. And at one point made in the commentary, there are other bodies found in the general area, and it possibly could be another serial killer that murdered those people. So if they are not related to Rex HEUERMANN, did somebody murder these people and dump them out there as to make it appear it's one killer? Copycat. Take them, dump them. Then we have to question those victims. Were any of those victims sex workers? On January 26, 2024, HEUERMANN was additionally charged for the murder of Maureen Brainard-Barnes, and That's what this live stream is pertaining to, the press conference of this new victim. Rex Heuermann has pleaded not guilty. The 6 other Gilgo Beach cases remain unsolved. ABC 7 is the source, everybody. We will now have another guest come up to give commentary. Miss Latrice, thank you for joining me. We're now in hour number 2 of this live stream. Thank you, Evie. Thank you for listening, Evie. And thank you for joining us. I appreciate that. Join me tomorrow. Scott Peterson, Los Angeles Innocent Project, is helping with his second trial. Latrice, I'm calling you, honey. Let's see. I don't know what's going on. Well, let me see. No messages. Hello.
Hello.
Latrice, where are you calling me from?
I'm calling from Anniston, Alabama.
Welcome, Miss Alabama. Turn your background down, baby.
Okay, I did.
So, before you get into your story, tell me your opinion on the information of victim number 4 and the hairs linked to all 3 people from the house, the mother, the daughter, and Rex Heuermann.
Well, that DNA, I think that the DNA is gonna be pivotal, in the case itself. And the reason why is because how coincidental would it be for his wife's and daughter's hair to be on all 4 of the victims if he didn't do it?
All right. So do you think he's going to say, well, he's going to break down, the lawyer's going to go ahead and say, you're going to have to say now that you were with those women? Excuse me.
Yes, that's what he's going to say. Well, yeah, I knew them. I slept with them.
Okay. Tell me what you think of the wife and daughter's hair.
Being on the victims?
Uh-huh. You having a hard time, Latrice? What's the matter?
I am.
Okay. Take your time. Well, take your time.
I don't. I think he was for both of their hair.
3 hairs. There's 5 hairs, and they all belong to the mother, the daughter, and the husband.
Oh, okay. I think the victims were in the house.
Well, okay. So the victims were in the house, and it was transference from the people living in the house.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go here. Let's say the other people found in the marsh are linked to him. 1 more, 2 more, 3 more, and we still have other hairs from the house linked to those people. Then would you change your mind or no?
No.
Wow.
No, but I would say that he definitely did it.
Okay, you'll say he did it, but the mother and daughter not involved.
I would think that the mother. I think that the mother is involved.
Okay.
How old is the daughter?
The daughter's grown. She's in her 20s.
Okay. I think that the mother is involved. I think that she knows a lot.
Okay. What's her role?
I think that she participated in the torture of the victims, possibly helping him to hold them down.
Yes. That's what I believe too. That's what I'm leaning towards.
Yeah.
You dirty, filthy pig, you.
Exactly.
Sleeping with my husband, you whore.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
She played a big role.
Uh-huh. Get her, baby, get her.
Right.
Because see, when you hear of people participating in crimes later down the road or at the time of arrest, you can't say that this lady would not have been involved because you don't know her. People didn't know him. Think about that. So if you didn't know him, you can't say you know her.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. Uh-huh.
It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And a lot of the times we've seen in the past where, okay, let's say, being that Rex would imagine what she went through as a wife living in the house with being married to him all of these years.
Probably abused, talked down to.
Exactly.
Used. I think he married the best he could come across, and she did the same. What do you think about that comment?
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, they played off of each other.
Okay.
They fed off of each other.
Okay.
And being that she was so afraid of him, all that anger, she took out on the victims.
You know what? And that's the feeling I got with her, watching her when they were going in the house and pulling out things. And she's sitting out there with the kids on the porch. And something told me, Angela, what's wrong with this picture?
She knew what was going on and she was afraid of what all they would find.
Exactly. That's why I believe she went to court, finally.
Mm-hmm.
2 months your husband been locked up and you just decide to go to the jail? 2 months? You know you got to take care of affairs. Your name ain't on nothing. I don't think her name was even on anything. So why am I going to wait 2 months? I'm going in that jail to ask this, this, and this, and tell them, here's a document for you to sign everything over in my name, and then adios, amigo, I was gone. Because when you start coming up with more than one body linking to my husband, you don't need to tell me nothing, and that's my
nothing
opinion.
at all.
Exactly.
I am out.
I'm out.
Sign these divorce papers. That's what you can do.
Everything. But I'm going to get everything in my name before you sign them papers.
Exactly.
And let's talk about that. Imagine her name wasn't on nothing.
Mm.
Not a car title, not a title to the house, nothing.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Because I got a feeling her name wasn't on anything. You know why I believe that? Because she sat outside there for days. Her and the kids slept at the house while the people were going through the house, the FBI. You mean to tell me you didn't have no money to go get a hotel room for at least a couple of days? Where was the family? She couldn't call them and ask for money? That lets you know she didn't have her name on nothing.
All right. She didn't have her name on anything and she didn't have any money.
Exactly.
She wasn't in charge of anything.
Of anything. So she was just riding the ride with a serial killer.
Right.
Now, he like kiddie porn. Now imagine, has he touched his children inappropriately? The girl child, stay woke.
Exactly. Throughout the years when she was younger.
Uh-huh.
And if she still...
You better hope he wasn't...
Who's to say that
exactly. Come on with it, honey. Come on.
Exactly. Who's to say that he still wasn't sleeping with her, even at 20
And we've seen that fathers still abusing their children when they're grown. I've just brought a case out west about that. The mother allowed her daughter to get pregnant by her own husband.
Right.
And the other kids know that that's their sister.
Mm. Yeah, I saw that too.
That's nasty.
So
you can't say it don't happen.
Right. There was a case, I used to work for the Presbyterian home here in Talladega when I lived down there. And there was a mother who lost her children because the father, they had 5 daughters, and he had molested all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And when the baby girl, because they were all girls, she was 11 and he was about with her as well. And the oldest daughter, which was 19, she told it. But she was still in the home, so he was still molesting her and the other 4 as well. Well, the other 3 as well, and he was about to start molesting, the 11-year-old. And I thought when she would come to the home to see them,
wow,
I thought,
that's a lot to digest.
How weird is that?
But it goes on. But it's been going on since the beginning of time. It's just a matter of who's gonna tell it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And she stood by her husband because she could have gotten her custody of her children back.
Yeah.
But
I've seen that. I've seen that happen. I've seen cases, state laws usually want the father or man to be removed from the house in order for you to keep custody of your children. But you'll see women who will forfeit that and let the state keep their children or somebody else keep the children to be with the man.
To be with the man.
Now you can't stoop no lower than that than the actual assaulter.
Exactly.
You're the mother. You're supposed to be providing for the child their every need, but you too concerned with some ding dong than to be worried about the safety of your children.
Exactly.
I really would like to know that.
Your mother to protect you then.
Mm-hmm.
Who can you count?
Nobody.
Nobody.
And I won't doubt that he's probably touched his child. Because you just don't wake up at 59 watching kitty porn.
No, he's been doing it all his life.
Yes, he has.
Mm-hmm.
Then I also asked, will we find out that he may have touched some other children in his time before being arrested? Did he go to church? Was he a member of a church? Was he active in church? Was he active in other organizations where he is around, women, girls?
Exactly. Him knowing that he's been watching kitty porn, I don't doubt that we'll hear at some point in time a lot of families and children come forward and say that, I was friends with his daughter.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So we'll wait and see if somebody comes out with that allegation.
And the son as well.
Okay. Do you believe that assertion of the black woman who went out to that house with the New York detective and one of the victims, and that they all went out there to swing, and that the girl was left behind because they were playing some type of game? Do you believe this woman's assertion? Because she said when she went out there, Asa didn't want to sleep with her. Now, I don't know if it's because she was black or what, but if I could believe her, that means Asa was down with the swinging, period. She just picked and choose who she wanted to have sex with.
Right.
Charlene said, this is so sad. Yeah, the details are sickening.
The details.
Because I always tell people that you don't really know I always tell people this about a story. Imagine what you don't know.
Exactly.
Because once you start talking about violent porn, kitty porn, then that takes a whole new spin on the person that we're talking about. Then you find out they have children. So then you got to worry about if they've assaulted their children. Then you got to worry about if they assaulted other children. Then he worked with women. Some of the women speak highly of him. You see, one girl said he helped her during a fall. He made sure he was there with her with the hospital, took her to an apartment, and she said he didn't try nothing. So he knows how to turn it on, turn it off.
He does.
And that's even scarier. Imagine knowing, and she said that, he was in my house with me alone, and now I got this information. He done killed some women. Can you imagine that?
Oh my God. No, I could not.
You done hurt your ankle, broke your foot. He carries you up to your house, walk you up to your apartment floor, tuck you in, get you settled, and then boop, 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 boop. Years later, Rex Heuermann arrested for, you see?
Exactly. How close what I would be thinking is,
why not me?
Gosh,
why didn't he choose me? But he could have. But he probably knew better. I ain't gonna do nothing to jeopardize my job, my title at this company that I own or whatever. So he knew how to turn it on, turn it off. And see, sociopaths know how to do that. That's their job. You emulate what's expected of you, such as most of the serial killers you've seen have been, either categorized as a sociopath or psychopath. So they know how to turn it on. Hi, how you doing? Great day. Good morning. Can I help you across the street? But then the other lady, he's peeping in her window and jumping in her window, assaulting her. See where I'm going?
Right. They're usually very charming.
Chameleons.
Mm-hmm.
They're chameleons.
Oh, man.
But they said he was the type, he would say crazy stuff to people on the subway. So he was very dominant. That's why he picked petite women.
Right.
But it wouldn't matter if they were my height. You can't fight off nothing that big.
Right, because he was a giant.
6'4", 6'6". They don't even have his actual height. Look, I'm like, get it right already. But I guess they say it don't even matter. He's a monster.
Right. That's the reason why I said, oh my goodness, if I had been driving that taxi and I pulled up
Can you imagine
and
that?
saw that huge man,
Getting in your car.
oh, I would have pulled off. No,
Would you
y'all
really?
have to get someone else to pick him up.
Girl, you crazy. Girl, you can't. You know you can't turn the ride down because they gonna say, "Well, what's the problem? Why you don't want him in your car? I don't want him in my car. I want him in my taxi. I don't want him in my taxi cab." But just imagine that ride.
Oh my gosh, and him telling them to turn and take him to the woods.
Right. Sir, I can't do that. Sir, why are we going? No, sir, I can't take you there. Come on, take me. That's where I want to go. Okay, and then what? Because you already know what's going to happen. If she didn't have that partition glass and she'd be stupid enough to take him back up in there, he wasn't going to do nothing but reach over the seat if she didn't have that partition. You see what I'm saying?
Right. That's what I was wondering.
Because imagine if it's a cab that's just a regular car with a sign on it. He would have, soon as she stopped or put it in drive, he would have reached over, probably put a rope around her neck and choked her.
Right, and killed her right there.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. That makes a hair on the back of my neck.
And be thankful, because we really don't know, did he get in the back seat or the front seat?
Right.
This is why when you do ride sharing and taxis, best your passenger stay in the back.
Exactly.
Because even if there's no partition, they could still put something around your neck at a stop sign. They willing to let the car crash. You just don't know people. You can't, look, you putting your life in the hands of people. Every time you're alone with somebody, I don't care who it is, a friend of a friend, associate, it's all the same.
Exactly. And when you said that one of your customers had you to bring something into their garage.
Yeah, the elderly, I think it was I can't remember if it was an elderly man or an elderly woman. They always left the garage door open for me to drop their food off at the step of the garage step. The garage was always open, but I never pulled my car in it. I parked my car outside the opening. So just imagine you pull up. I could pull all the way in there, but I didn't. I always parked the car, left it running, and then I'd go walk over, put the food on the step, and then come back and get in my car. But just imagine if it was a sadist. As soon as I got in, they had cameras. They could have easily put the door down.
Let that garage door down.
And then I'm out in the middle of nowhere too, where the place was. Nice homes, but they were, the type that it was rural, and they were nice sized ranchers. But they're a little ways from the next house. You'd have to, walk, not real far, but just saying it was a little spread out a little bit. It's not like inner city where the houses are topping on top of each other.
Right.
Then there's one guy I would buy, he would get like beer or drinks. He asked me to bring that liquor bottle in the house. I don't know if he was handicapped or what, because when I pulled up and called to let him know, hey, I'm outside, he was like, oh, come on around the back. And then you get around, you knock on the door. Oh, can you bring it inside? Well, who's to say Jumper Jack didn't jump out as soon as I walked in and shut the screen door?
Right. Did you see him?
Yeah, he was sitting at the table, but that don't mean nothing.
It doesn't. Well, why he couldn't come out and get?
Well, he was an elderly man. Oh. So I don't know if he was handicapped, couldn't walk good. But I'm just giving a for instance of how close I've been to situations to where I could not be a YouTuber talking to you about this stuff.
Right.
Because I've been in too many situations of being in people's private drives, out in the middle of nowhere delivering food and stuff. And it's too dangerous when you back up in the holler in places like where the Wells live, and you going up long driveways and circular driveways, and then the driveway, it start with a driveway that end up running into a street, and you looking like, how is this set up? Girl, I have been some dangerous places.
Right. And didn't you say that when you were out there in the trailer park?
Yeah, it left the road. It went from concrete to gravel. The GPS,
and it was dark?
Yeah, the GPS was saying like you've arrived, but I didn't see nothing.
Right.
So I was like, well, where's the street sign? So I rolled back around again, and I said, this is ridiculous. Go down the drive, keep driving. Then I start seeing the trailers. So I pulled up to the first trailer and got out. And because the GPS made it seem like I had arrived.
Right.
I hadn't arrived at nothing because I was just at the concrete to the gravel. I was not near the house. I had to pull down into the street, which turned to gravel. pulled up to the first trailer. The people come out, and I said, I'm looking for such and such. And then she said, oh, you're looking for the girl that live over there. Those people, what if they were crooked?
Right.
Took the food, took my car, hit me in the head. We fighting, tussling. See, you don't never know. That's why, guess what? The summer was the last summer of me doing any type of ride sharing, because that incident was deliveries. I did ride sharing back in the summer, spring and summer of last year. I got tired of it. Wasn't making enough money. Too much, mileage putting on my SUV, and the SUV was already having problems anyway. And then you got pick up one guy, black guy. He's acting funny in the back seat, talking to himself. He's smiling. Then when you ask him a question, trying to make conversation, he would never respond.
But he's sitting in the back seat talking to himself
and smiling. Yeah, I'm looking through the mirror.
Oh my!
And I'm sitting up here looking like, what the hell I done put in my damn car? So finally, I asked a question, ask it over and over, and finally he respond. And then, something said, "Oh, this joker getting ready to get out of here." And then when you get to your location and you drop him off, you gonna make sure to hit that button. We don't want to pick him up again.
Right.
Because ain't nobody got time for all that. And a guy just got robbed last year. Here in Knoxville, he picked up 2 black people downtown. He was a white guy, and he worked for one of the local radios, little miniature makeshift radio station. He does sports. He got robbed downtown. He got in the he picked up 2 people, 2 African American people, and they robbed him.
Oh my!
Yep. He was taken up to Green Hills, and that's just not too far from downtown on the east side of Knoxville. And they robbed him. And next thing I know, they had a GoFundMe page set up for the man, because I guess he said he was done.
Yeah, I would have definitely been done after that.
But that's the chance. That's the chance you
That's
take.
the chance
Whether
you
you the
take.
passenger or you the driver,
Right.
it can go both ways.
Right. Right. And even with the delivering food, that's the chance that you take.
Yeah, because what if they say I can't walk when you call to say I'm here, and then they say, well, can you come and bring it in? Hell no, it's at the step. You can't get it, then you need to quit ordering food.
Exactly. If you can't make it out to the steps on your porch and pick it up, then you definitely need to stop ordering food.
Yeah, exactly, because that's supposed to be the protocol. You put it you take it to the door or on the step, or leave it at the step, or they come and take it from your hand to hand.
Right.
Depending on the specifications. So let's go here. Your story about the cigarettes.
Okay. I left out my house one night. I had been asleep.
Okay.
Woke up. I said, oh my gosh, it's already after 12 o'clock.
Oh my God.
I was
Trees.
sick, so I had been taking some medication.
Okay.
So I woke up, it was after 12 o'clock.
And you were craving a cigarette.
And I had 1 cigarette left, and I was like, well, maybe I can make it until the morning.
Okay.
I'll go on back to sleep.
Okay.
But I was like, I'm going to get up and go get me some cigarettes, because I'm not going to be able to go back to sleep, because I've been already asleep for hours.
Okay.
So I leave, and the store is about 5 minutes from my house. So I went to the store, and when I pulled up, it was a Mavco. When I pulled up, it was this white people's man and a woman. They were, those big monster trucks.
Okay.
And I was about to get out, but they were just sitting there looking at me. And I just got this really eerie feeling.
Okay, so let me ask you this. You pull up to the convenience store. How many cars were in the parking lot?
Just mine and theirs.
Well, could you see the worker inside of the store?
Yes.
Man or woman?
It was a woman.
Anybody inside of the store?
No.
Okay.
The only cars were mine, the other people, and then the worker.
Okay, 3 cars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3 cars. And so they were just sitting there staring at me. And I just got this really eerie feeling, and I never felt like that before, because I would do it all the time. I'm getting ready to go to McDonald's, get me some cookies, I want some cookies and milk. So I called my daughter and was talking to her on the phone, and she sent her boyfriend to the store, because I was afraid to gotta know whether if I got out, went in the store, got back in the car, if they were gonna follow me, or what.
So let me ask you this: the boyfriend, he went to another store.
No, he came to the store where I was.
Oh, I see. To go in.
He came to the store where I was to go in for me. And when they saw him pull up and he got out, and he's really big also, he's real tall, then they left. But they had just been sitting there staring at me.
Well, did they have the car running?
Huh?
Did you hear their engine running?
Yeah, the lady had just gotten back in the car, so back into the truck, so because she had been inside the store.
So she got in the car, but they didn't pull off yet.
They didn't pull off yet.
Okay.
And I don't know what their conversation was, but apparently it was about me because they were sitting there staring at me. You know what I'm saying?
Well, maybe they was just trying to get their bearings. I don't know.
I don't know, but I got a really very eerie feeling about it.
Okay.
And ever since then.
Well, how long do you think you sat there until the boyfriend showed up, till your daughter's boyfriend showed up?
About 10 minutes.
That's
because
too
they
long.
lived up at least about 15 minutes from me.
Well, that's too long right there.
That's a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time.
I was terrified.
Yeah. They might have been up, they might have been watching the store, but they might have been watching the store to do something to the person in the store.
They could have been. But
or they could have been waiting on a drug deal, so you don't know.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know.
Do you live in a rural place?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. No, I live in Anniston. Are you familiar with Anniston, Oxford?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Well, no, it's not a rural. It's not a rural area.
So let me ask you this: where the gas station is, do they get a lot of traffic even at night on the street?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the reason why I went there, because it's a lot of traffic in and out all night because they stay open.
So it might have been, they could have been just waiting on somebody or up to no good them damn selves. You never know.
You never know. But ever since that incident.
Okay. So let me ask you this: do you still smoke?
I do.
I'll be damned. Then you ought to, maybe you need to quit smoking cigarettes then. You got to pick up ice cream or something, chewing gum or something else.
I know.
Oh, wow.
I do, but I go ahead and get my cigarettes before
in daylight savings time.
Exactly, before it gets dark, and definitely not going out at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
But I'm that type of person because I'm OCD. Something could strike me. I can look at something right now. I can go in the living room right now and it's dark and I'm thinking, ooh, I see some dust. I'll just go ahead, peep out the blinds first, then open that second door, back porch, sweep out there. I tell myself it's time to only do this type of stuff during, you understand? During daylight, because you don't know if somebody walking, sitting, looking, how you gonna know? Even if you flip the porch light on, you still don't know if somebody back there looking and lurking. Same thing with going to your car to go out. You just assuming, well, I ain't had no problems with nobody trying to do nothing to me, but you just don't know.
You don't know. And the thing is, people know. You never know who's watching you. But
well, I know people watch.
I know people watch. And I know they know
I watch.
Who lives alone,
Exactly. That's what I try to tell my stupid landlord. I said, I don't know these people, and what I've seen I don't like. So how do I know a person ain't lurking and watching, waiting on that opportunity to say, oh, yeah, I see her, and she ain't gotten a lot of people running in and out. That's how people get hurt anyway, because they watched enough to say, okay, I don't see nobody coming in at this time, and they get up and leave at this time, and I don't never see them bringing in, no kids or no boyfriend or whatever. Then they pounce.
Right. They pounce on you.
Yeah, people just don't, it's just like any crime pertaining to breaking and entering for whatever reason. People just don't walk up and just choose that random house because that wouldn't make no sense if you ain't never watched it. That's dumb.
Exactly. No, they watched you. They know. They know you live alone.
Exactly.
They know you don't have a lot of company.
Exactly. Exactly. And you just have to be careful being nice to people, letting somebody borrow something because whether it's you soliciting yourself on the street or on an ad, back page, online, new date, old date, you don't know people, you don't know the temperament of people, you don't know what to set a person off. I mean, every day you see horrible crimes, exacted against women and children. You just don't know what to set a person off.
You don't.
And there's just really no respect for women at all out here by men. And you got women who will commit crimes against women on their own or with the man.
Right.
And that's the reason why with this case, how do I know she hasn't been down with him doing these crimes?
Exactly. Because I believe that she was.
Okay. Hey, Myra. Yeah, because you don't know. We seen the crime years ago. Remember that young couple out of Canada? He was using her to solicit women to pick them up, to rape them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. They've done a lot of true crime stories on that case. She was down for it. And then let's talk about that for a second. How do you talk a woman into using her to go out here and pick up women so you can sexually assault them? And then you participate in the rape too. How do you look at yourself and say, yeah, okay, I'll do that? Now you like this man, you're in love with this man, but he's telling you, I got an appetite for other women. And I want you to go out here and pick up this young girl and bring her back to the apartment. We're going to drug her and both of us going to sexually assault her. What in your mind would tell you to go ahead and go along with some shit like that?
That's deep.
That's very deep. So that's why I don't put nothing past Asa, whatever you call her, because I've seen the cases. There may not be a lot of cases out here, but when we start hearing the wife knew that he was messing with the little girl or messing with the sister and a baby came about and they held her in the shed, in the attic, why would I think any different in this case? Prove me wrong. That's how I look at it.
Right.
Prove me wrong. Show me she didn't know anything and she didn't participate.
Right, because why did she wait two months? Why did she wait a whole 2 months before she ever went
to the jail? To the jail. Because that's strange. You sleeping outside while the FBI is tearing your house up, and you don't say to yourself, I think I best to go to the jail and talk to my damn husband about these allegations and this arrest.
She already knew about it.
Yeah, that's why. Because that's not even logical. People go to jail for all type of stuff. They mama, daddy, sister, cousin, auntie go run to the damn jail. This man been accused of torturing women, and you say, no, I'll wait.
Right. She had to have already known. So
Yeah.
there wasn't a reason for her to go question him.
Right. Because I don't need a lawyer to go talk to my damn husband.
No.
Hey, I want to know what happened. What's going on? Why you get arrested? What is this all about? Did you do this? Did you commit this crime? How could you not want to know?
Exactly.
Now, I can see a woman not going when she said to herself, I don't even care at this point. I'm just going to believe it and I won't out. Everybody handle things differently.
Right. Or I'm going to take this time to run. Because I have been so afraid of him all these years.
Exactly.
And I've never been able to run. So now that he's locked up,
yeah,
I'm getting ready to get the heck out of here.
Because guess what I would have done, honey? I would have went to that jail, got my answers, whether they were truthful or not. I would have went back to that dungeon. I'd have put that dungeon up for sale. I would have either paid somebody to clear it out or sold it as is. And I would have took that money and found me and these two kids somewhere else to live, and I'd have kept it moving. Did you hear what I said? But I'd have made sure before I did anything, I got all his assets put in my name. Then I would have served him with divorce papers, and then I would have sold everything and kept it moving. And then when it's time for somebody to serve me with a subpoena to go to court, I show up.
Right. And I might would have even changed my name because people,
yeah,
know people, look people up, so imagine.
Yeah, you don't have any privacy. Once they got her real name, then they're going to know her maiden name, so she couldn't use her maiden name either.
Yeah, because people gonna dig and look things up.
She'd have to make up a fictitious name, even if she said Asa, she'd have to find another last name to use just to keep anybody from Googling her to try to get her address and telephone number.
Yeah, I would have changed the entire my name completely.
But she content. Back there at that ragged ass house with her kids. Think about that now. You back there at that ragged ass house. Why? It's already hoarded up. Y'all was already living foul in there. Living a lie, basically. Don't you find that interesting? They live in that hoarded house. When did you know that a serial killer in a hoard? Girl, I'm dead.
In a hoarded house.
In a hoarded house.
Wow.
Two grown kids living with her. One's autistic, the boy. What's wrong with the daughter? I thought that was strange. Why is she still living at the house? Why aren't you in college or somewhere working a job? It's confusing to me.
Yeah, why haven't you moved on? So that's the reason why it's easy for me to believe that he had a hold over her as well.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, because he's the dominant figure. He called the shots on everything. He called the shots on documents, the money, the finances, the bank accounts. He was the ruler. But you know he's sick because he ain't no more.
Right.
You know he's in that jail. He was sick to death thinking they ain't gonna never let me out here. They ain't about to give me no bond.
Yeah, he's beating himself up.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. And you know, he was wondering what evidence they had against him because he did all that Google searching, remember? Why they ain't called him? Why ain't called him? Like this guy said in his commentary. He was searching himself. So now imagine I killed these people. He wasn't expecting to get linked to probably none of them. So now with the hair DNA, he know he's signed, sealed, and delivered.
All right, yeah. But he thought he was smart.
Well, yeah, because he hadn't gotten caught. What's going to be scary if we find out he done killed somebody up until he got arrested?
Because how many years does this go back?
I think it starts 2010 or before that.
Wow, I know there's got to be more than just those 4 victims.
Oh, yeah, of course. Because you got to think he just 59. So he was probably in way better shape. 17, 18 years ago, yeah.
And how long has he and his wife been married?
I think they said 96 or 97. Under 30 years.
Yeah, she's content, and he had a big hold over. He ruled the roost.
Yes, he did. And you can look at her appearance, ho-hum, very dowdy looking, no makeup, baggy clothes. She probably had weight going up and down because of the cancer or whatever, but still not a very attractive lady. Now, she looked halfway decent when she went to court. She had her hair cut. She had it curled. She had a decent little sweater outfit on. I said, oh, it's amazing how they get you cleaned up to go to court and put a little lipstick and mascara on. You understand?
Yeah.
Now we looking right.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, is she gonna divorce him? Is she gonna wait to divorce him after she get a verdict? Because what she should do is just divorce him anyway. He's never gonna get out of there. Ain't nobody getting ready to let him out. But then let me think again. If they could let Casey Anthony walk, they could find him not guilty too. Shut your mouth. Even with the hair.
Crazy?
Yeah, it was crazy.
When they read that ruling,
oh girl, I was stunned.
I was shocked. I was like, whoa, let me rewind this back.
Yeah, but that just goes to show you, if the defense attorney can prove reasonable doubt, which he did, because he threw the father in there, I think he threw the brother in there, he threw the utility worker in there, that's all they needed. That's your job. When you go to court, they'll tell you that. You have to listen to the evidence and either believe or denounce the evidence that has been brought in front of you. Did they prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that this lady killed her kid? And they must have felt the state did not. But yet she lied the whole time living in her parents' house up until the discovery of the baby body. But yet you don't find that strange. She'd have lied about all these people. They were imaginary. The only thing that existed were the places. But you lied about working. You lied about Zanny the nanny. You never could prove who she was. Other people mentioned were imaginary, and yet 12 members of the jury couldn't see the writing on the wall.
Exactly. So how does she lie about things? And they found her guilty for lying to the police.
Yeah, that's the only charge. That's the only charge they found her guilty on was lying.
But y'all couldn't find her. Yeah, y'all couldn't see through.
That there was a reason for the lies.
Exactly. And
she walked them people. She walked them people around her old job corridors and finally turned around and said, "I don't work here." And they looked at her like, "We already knew you didn't work here." That was creepy to me.
It was.
Following her in that building, knowing she didn't work there, but they want to see how far she would take the lie.
How far she was going to take it. And waving at people, hey.
Yeah. And the fact that she still has support from this stupid old private investigator helping her. She probably slept with him when she got out of jail to have a place to stay. Then he let her work for his little company. And I thought, you must be just a gullible human being or a very lonely man. And we've seen this with men. They will lay with a person knowing they done killed their kid and committed the most atrocious crimes just to have a warm body beside them. Same thing that women do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because I think that she slept with her attorney.
Well, she may have.
Mm-hmm.
And Baez he'll never admit to that.
No. Like, she's never going to admit that she killed that baby.
Mm-hmm. And, it's easy for her to put the parents as culprits because she knew when they pulled the baby out that canvas bag and the baby was wrapped in a blanket that matched the sheet said, well, then now you got to implicate somebody from the house, see? You can't say it's a utility worker because how would he get access to the baby blanket?
Exactly.
The stickers matched the stickers at the house. What are the odds of that? That was on the duct tape over the baby mouth. So now I got to say it's somebody at that house did it.
Mm-hmm.
Why the father, not your mother? She's a cold, heartless wench.
She is.
And those two don't get along today because of her.
They don't because of her. Because the mother still supports her.
Yeah, just up until a few years ago, she still was supporting her. She just broke down our entire family unit. But I won't doubt they coddled her. And that's how this monster, came to be. They probably did not put their hand down, raising her, implementing structure, implementing consequences for bad behavior. Because one thing you have to remember, she was in her early 20s when she exacted this crime. You don't wake up at 20-something lying.
No, she's been a little liar.
Being a liar, exactly.
And I got my tail tore up about lying, and I cannot stand a liar.
She's a psychopath, most definitely. So you have to think back to all the upbringing situations where something jumped off and they asked her about it, and she lied and stood on that lie.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably many incidents where she's lied. She lied about who the baby daddy was.
Yes.
They ain't never knew who the daddy was, probably.
No, what they say is that he's passed on. Well, how did you know?
Well, because you didn't.
Because she didn't know who that baby's daddy is.
Uh-huh.
And it was a beautiful little girl.
Mm-hmm.
She was so pretty, those big old brown eyes.
And let's talk about this. What type of man would date her after she been exonerated? Still, I wouldn't date her. Remember a couple years ago, she had a brawl with a woman in a bar about a man?
Yes. But they will.
We know it. They sleep with junkies, addicts. They don't get high, but they will lay up with a woman to get high, which I ain't never understood that phenomenon. You don't get high, but you want to mess around with a woman and run the street and get in the street and use drugs. That's the stupidest thing I've heard. You see that with a lot of old men. Chasing younger women to get high. And it's like, what is wrong with you? Why are you picking that kind of woman and you don't even use drugs yourself?
Exactly. Because one of our old high school PE teachers, people had been saying for years that he was going with this crackhead, this woman that was crackhead.
Uh-huh.
And one day he showed up in the club with her. And I was like, well,
right.
And he married her and took care of her.
Yeah, that's a very lonely human being.
Out of all the women that are out
because
here,
that don't make no sense. But he's telling the world that he doesn't think highly of himself because it's just illogical thinking. Like, why in the world would you want that kind of woman? Knowing they out here doing things, they probably, ain't protecting themselves. They're getting in trouble. They're probably out here, grifting, stealing, all that. And you would want that in your circle. For what reason?
Exactly.
And then take them in your house. and let them have access to your belongings and your bank cards and checkbooks. That means you just don't give a you know what about yourself.
Exactly.
Now I've seen that. I've seen that personally. I can speak on that personally. Somebody I know right now. That's the only women he has chosen for many moons. Younger women. He was old enough to be their daddy. And they both, about at least 2 to 3 were junkies. And it was like, why do you keep picking one junkie after the other? All the women lately, in the past couple of years, they have all been addicts. You pick the older one, then the young one, then the young, and you just saying to yourself, okay, you don't care nothing about yourself.
At all, because they do any and everything, to get
Right.
that high.
Hey, hippie. Yeah. Anything else you want to add? I don't think I touched on everything pertaining to this Rex Heuermann. I just pray that there's a resolve with the other victims that were out there in the march, because as you heard in this commentary, those victims may not be linked to him. It might be, just another killer dumping them out there because they heard bodies were dumped out there. So, okay, let me kill some people and dump them out there. Let them think it's one killer.
Right.
But a killer can change his MO how he see fit. That's one thing people need to understand about a serial killer. You can't bet on burlap every time you find a body.
Exactly, because they're going to change it up.
Yeah, especially if I think you might be getting close to me. I could change the MO. I could change the victim, the style of victim. I could change the area I dump them. I could change where I pick them up, how I choose them. I can change the weapon. Because a lot of people get confused when they kill differently. Well, all 4 were shot or 5 were shot. Now these are stabbed. So what?
Exactly, like you said, they change it up because they know just like he knew, if I can wrap all of these bodies in burlap, because then they'll be linked all to me.
Yeah, because at some point, ain't you gonna be setting yourself up to keep going in the store buying burlap?
Exactly.
Somebody always noticed something. That's the one thing about crime. It may take a while to solve it, but somebody gonna always remember, yeah, they came in about 3 gallons of bleach. They bought 2 tarps. Oh, they came in about 2 tarps again. See what I'm saying?
Right. They can even trace down the type of trash bags used by serial numbers.
Okay. That's what I'm saying.
So.
And they don't think about stuff like that when they out there. Just like the rapping of one of the girls, the Costello girl, because I got it mixed up with the Brainard girl with the hair and the duct tape or whatever. Why are you binding them so tight? The Brainard girl was bound like 3 times with belts. Well, one of them belts has been linked to him with the initials on it, similar to his initials or father's initials. See, this is how stupid he is. They dead. Why is you binding them up? Or you bound them up first, then killed them.
Right.
But it don't take no 3 straps to bind nobody that's petite. That's what I don't understand.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm going to make sure you don't move. Just sadistic,
Yes.
I'm going to bind you, make sure I cut your circulation off. Can you imagine being tortured like that? Bound up, all your limbs going numb, your feet, your arms, your hands. And then you're not sitting up here looking up at the person wondering what this big old great monster getting ready to do to you. That's a terrible way to go.
That's a terrible way to die. That's a terrible way to die.
Yeah, to be confined.
To be confined. They had heart attacks before he ever killed them.
Yeah, and I hope some of them did have a heart attack. I would hope somebody passed out.
From the fear.
Fear, yeah. And it's just what I was saying earlier. Just imagine you going on a date thinking you're going to get some money, and then, still on the phone hours later. Say what? Anyway, just imagine you make the date, you meet, you're doing your little thing, and then all of a sudden he turn on you. You about to put your clothes on. You think you getting ready to leave. Or he starts torturing you right while you're having sex. You understand? Because he might be the type to choke you while you're having sex. You just don't know. You don't know how it went.
And there's also the chance that before he started getting these women and torturing them in his home, possibly he was doing these things to the wife and daughter.
Probably. He probably had rough sex with her. He probably did the choking simulation or actual choking. He's done all that with that wife, because we learned that with a lot of the killers, the women who've come forward to talk about what the sex life was like, most of them ended up choking them during sex. Why they get turned on with that is a mystery to me. Allegedly, there's some type of ultimate high you get from being choked while having sex. I can't see it, quite frankly.
I can't see that.
And I ain't trying to find out either.
What?
You know what I'm saying?
Say.
Yeah. Help, choke me. Let me see if I can get an orgasm. That makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense at all. That is crazy. Ooh.
Yeah. That's scary.
That's the reason why now I just don't even date.
Oh, the truth.
I'll be 52 my birthday, March 13th. I don't even date. Just forget it.
No, you're a March baby. Okay, well, my birthday the 29th of this month. I'll be 53.
Oh, okay.
The 29th. Mm-hmm. Next Monday.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you, baby. But it's scary out here because, like I said, you can leave here a multitude of ways, by the hands of another human being. And women are just not safe. They're not safe in the house. They're not safe outside the house. They're not safe at the schoolhouse. They're not safe at the job. They're not safe on the walking trail. They're not safe traveling. You're just not safe nowhere. You're not even safe at the hotel, because that's the thing about life. Somebody has access to you, either by key card, or pushing a window in or pushing a door in.
Exactly.
Or invitation.
Exactly. And being at the hotel, I was in a hotel, went with my daughter and a friend of hers one year, and I had gone outside to smoke. And when I came back, I confused the rooms up. I put my key card in and opened the door and walked in. There was a white man. I was like, oh, I'm sorry.
Your key card worked another room?
Yes.
Oh, girl, you're making me, girl, you about to make me cuss out. Oh my God, because I know I was staying in a hotel briefly last year before, finding another place to live. So that right there would freak me out. That's why I always put the latch on the door inside of the room.
Always put the latch on that door.
Yeah, you always put the latch on.
Exactly.
That way can't nobody come in talking about, oh, yeah, I got the room mixed up, or security or the night desk person coming in to check the room to see if you checked out or staying, or I always put it on there. Always. They wasn't coming up in there, baby.
Right.
Nobody was coming up in that room.
Chills thinking about that. But yes, my key card opened, and he was sitting on the bed watching TV.
They're supposed to rekey every key card after you check out of a room.
Well, that let me know then and there.
And even when you renew, the state, they're supposed to be rekeying them keys. Like when it's checkout time, they're supposed to redo the keys.
Right.
That's that's not good. I ain't never heard that before. Oh my God.
Yes.
Now imagine not being in the room though. But just imagine when you leave the room, you got to go to work. Let's say you're staying or you're on vacation or you rented a room for whatever reason. If that's the case, imagine a sadist is in there staying in a hotel. He put it in there and then he just want to lay around and see who popped in the damn room.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I'm dead, girl. That is scary as hell.
And so I went downstairs. He just looked at me. So we went back downstairs, and I told him the room number, and I told him that my key card opened this door.
Well, what'd they do about it?
They just said, "Okay, we'll take care of it." Just not very nonchalant.
No, see, you can't. That's bad business. That's real bad business.
Just very nonchalant.
That's bad business. Now that's gonna make a lot of people worry about the key cards.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness, that is so scary. Now imagine somebody, like I said, is a sadist, staying in a hotel, especially the ones that's got the outdoor rooms. Them the worst hotels to stay in, and they just start sticking their key in everybody's damn room
to see which door
just to see if they're open. Oh my God.
Yeah, you're right. Those are the worst.
Those are the worst hotels. Oh yeah, the ones outside. Oh yeah. So let me ask you something. The room that wasn't yours, how close was it to your door?
It was like diagonal.
Okay, so you weren't paying attention
Like
when you
right
came
across.
back in and put the key in. You weren't paying attention.
Right, because when I got on, you know how sometimes the elevators, depending on which elevator you get on,
Oh
it
my
might get off on this side or that side. So I got turned around.
So was it on the same floor?
It was on the same floor. Mm-hmm.
But it was just across the hall.
Yeah, it was just across the hall.
Lord have mercy. Well, I'm gonna tell you this story, and then I'm gonna let you go. And this is a true story. A young lady was a realtor down in Florida, pretty girl, and she had came home one night and got in her bed, and then later she was found murdered in her bedroom. So naturally, detectives are watching surveillance, trying to figure out how somebody got into a locked apartment. Now follow me carefully. Nice skybox down in Florida, swanky building. How did the killer get in the room? Now I'll just let you think about it for just a second.
Was it? I would think that it was one of the someone who worked there. They have access to all those keys.
Okay, exactly. The night desk clerk, which makes no sense to why you have a night desk clerk at the apartment building. For what?
Right. For what? Why?
He's watched the cameras. He knows which place she stays in. He put the key in her door. She was asleep. He went in, sexually assaulted her, and then murdered her in her bed and walked right back out and went back down to the desk. And the sick part of this story is there were no cameras to show him going on that floor, if I'm not mistaken. That's why they couldn't figure out how the person got in, because her door was locked.
Oh, my.
He had a key.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
See, you got to ask yourself, should a desk clerk even have a key to the rooms, to the apartments? Should it be that they're just watching the desk? Could it just be their only position needs to be working the desk to make sure the wrong people ain't trying to come in, but not have keys to the apartment? See where I'm going?
Exactly. Only the landlord should have had keys to the apartment.
Yeah, that and the maintenance men. And that's another thing. Case out of Texas. College student bludgeoned in her bedroom. How did the perpetrator get in her locked apartment? Maintenance man. Double backing that night, made his way into the apartment and killed her and walked out. Naturally locked the door. So see, this is another situation of blind trust. Not only getting hurt outside your apartment, but getting inside your house, because people have assets such as apartments. A maintenance man has access to the key. The landlord, the manager has access to the key. So imagine, once again, this, I know she's alone. I'm assuming she's alone. I think the boyfriend or friend or somebody had already left her that night, and they left her there. And you still took a chance and went up in there and accosted that woman and murdered that young girl, and then walked your tail right back out of there.
And you went back down to the desk.
Well, in that case, but the college student, the one in Texas, I mean, he done left the apartment and went on about his merry way.
Okay, yeah, because it was the maintenance man, yeah.
Yeah, maintenance man with the college student. The one in Florida is the night desk clerk. Had access to the keys to go in anybody's apartment in the apartment building. And that's dangerous too, because I don't want you to have no key to my apartment.
Exactly.
Whether you're a man or a woman. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly. Ooh, it's just dangerous. My daughter used to say, "Mom, you crazy. Why every time you leave your house at night and you go back home, you go to the house checking behind the curtains and doors and stuff?"
Yeah, well,
girl,
I would tell you from now on, don't do that no more. Don't keep going out at night buying stuff, going to the corner store. That's
I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, that's not. I don't recommend doing that, because I've done that months ago, getting ice, trying to find ice, riding around trying to save a couple coins on ice, and I thought, this is stupid. A bag of ice, because my refrigerator doesn't have an ice maker.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful. But I can say recently I had an incident to where I came home and the door was unlocked and the maintenance man left the door unlocked. Now he living across the street. Yeah, I got a problem with that.
Yeah, I got a problem.
Because on his lunch break. So I looked at him, he barely could speak English, and he's like pointing across the street, like, oh, I was just over there. Over there and in here are two different things.
Exactly.
You thought it was okay to leave my shit unlocked while you went on your lunch break. Now, you just think about that for a second. What if the wrong motherfucker came by touching doorknobs? They would have unloaded my shit while you sitting up here eating.
And went on their merry way.
You know I had words with the landlord. Oh, I'm so sorry. I wanted to tell her what I really thought of her and her stinking ass husband. I'm sick of both of you.
I know you
Because you all just take for granted what? A single woman living in a fucking bottom level apartment that anybody could just step through the glass and come in here. Now you got the maintenance man leaving my fucking shit unlocked while I'm gone. And it was okay because he lived across the street. He felt the need. But see, this is where you get ready to scream. He don't even have a key. So you got people working for you that you can't even trust to give them a motherfucking key to lock our damn doors back. How about that?
Oh. Wow. So why would you even hire him as a maintenance man if you can't trust him?
The point is, me and no speaker English.
That's crazy.
So guess what I said? Thank you, hippie. Ain't nobody else coming up in here to work unless I'm here and I stay here all day till you finish.
Exactly.
Because you don't have common sense to one, hire people that you can have a dialogue with in English, number one. Number two, he ain't got the key to lock the door back. So I'm done with it. So whatever's wrong in here.
How are they even able to communicate with him?
Through the phone,
to say,
through the Spanish English dictionary.
Oh my gosh.
Because I do it with the girl that lived down at the other building. Because her husband or boyfriend worked for the landlord too. I thought you are this trifling. You can't even hire people to speak fucking English.
Because they work for you.
Because all these people need a fucking, all these people out here need a damn job. Excuse my language, but it pisses me off. Now, the young girl, she's nice. I do stuff for her. Like I told you, I told you all on the live, I gave her water the other day when the pipes burst and everything. She needed water and everything. But the point is still, don't play with queens. This is my shit up in here. Now, naturally, everything could be replaced in here, but you all ain't trying to replace nothing up in here.
Exactly.
Because I've already had an issue with the front closet, with mold in that closet. So you didn't want to pay for my stuff I had to get rid of, my good coats and stuff, shit that belonged to my mama, my dead mother. Naturally, it's all replaceable, but it's still irreplaceable because it belonged to her. If I want to keep it, if I want to keep it 15 years,
irreplaceable.
That's what I'm saying. If I want to keep it 15 years, that's my prerogative.
Exactly.
This is the world we live in.
Right.
There's no regard for you. And see, this is when I be wanting to pop off, but you have to keep composure so you don't end up incarcerated. And I have let her know that. The conversations I have with you, to me, are ignorant and redundant. You just like everybody else. Y'all all on the same page. So long as you're getting that money, you really don't give two fucks about the people that you are renting to.
Right. And that's the sad part.
Yeah, because you were messing with somebody's livelihood when you let them walk out and don't lock a door back. That's ignorant. You can't say, oh, nobody would go in there.
Because you don't know.
Exactly.
You in your place sitting down eating.
Yeah, because let me tell you about that. I keep saying I'm getting off this line. I'm steady talking. One day I was outside, or I went outside and the police had pulled up. This has just been recently. And he gonna say, did you see a guy with a such and such, a description? And I said, no, that's my point right there. If the police is sitting at the curb and I'm standing on the porch and he asking me, did I see a certain type of person come through here? I'll just let you figure that out.
Right, because he's not paying attention.
Who's to say that person he looking for could have been the same person one day decided to come through the property on the run and try jingling the door handle? And mine would just so happen to be open while you over there on your lunch break, but your back turned. You can't see what's going on in this apartment once you turn your back.
All right.
And then I come home and walk in on somebody standing there or hiding under the bed, and I don't even know they in there.
Right.
And the maintenance man, he come back and do work, he don't know they in there.
Oof.
This is the type of world we live in.
Right.
Go ahead, man.
Why did you move from your other place?
They sold the property.
Okay.
Yeah, I had 3 landlords in a year and a half. So I had to try to find something quick last year, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have money to keep paying hotel fees every day to stay in no hotel. And then I ended up taking this a hole, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, because the housing market in this area is horrible. There's nowhere to live. Because now they've jacked the rent up so high. Because of this migration of people coming from California and Arizona, the rent is very high now here in Tennessee.
That's the next live.
Look, I've been putting it out for a month. The migrant live stream, I want to talk about the busing of the migrants. That's something that needs to be addressed, because how you going to not take care of the homeless people, but you're going to take care of some people coming in through the border?
Yes, and giving them all of this money and all of this, everything, food stamps, everything.
Because in New York, a few weeks ago, they shut the school down so the migrants would have somewhere to sleep, because they was putting them out that hotel in New York.
Because they were tearing it up.
Well, hey, but you put them in there.
You put them in there.
Yeah.
5-star hotels at that.
Well, hey. But the homeless in New York, how disrespectful is it to those people to be walking around begging, peddling, and you let some foreigners get busted into New York from another city to stay in any kind of hotel? I don't care what kind of hotel it was. The point is they had somewhere to sleep.
They had somewhere to sleep.
And then these people have been living in New York all their life homeless, which, it's a choice if you want to just stay out there on the streets, but it still don't look good.
It doesn't. And it just like it's their choice to be out there. A lot of them.
It is, exactly.
It was also their choice to come over here.
Exactly. And we get it. You don't like where you at. Well, a lot of people that live in other countries don't like being refugees and prisoners of war and living in war-torn countries. I get it. You want better, and you deserve to have better. That's your God-given right to want to have a peaceful existence. But we cannot just house people in countries just because you crossed the border and snuck in the border, and now you're supposed to just get every amenity known to you because you crossed over into uncharted territory without no identification. We don't know what you done over there in Pookieville. Come on now. No.
Right, because they say that in Chicago.
Yeah, they have a problem too.
They've got a problem, and they've started assaulting each other and unaliving each other.
Yeah, but that's going to be expected because it's called survival of the fittest. Nature of the beast. These people come from brutality. You expect them to turn that off because they crossed the border?
No, they're not.
We can't trust the people that live here in America.
Exactly. Now you busting all of these millions of people over here.
Yeah, Texas is tired of all the migration coming in there. So Texas is saying, hell no, we already overcrowded. So we're going to put them on buses and send the buses over here, over there. So now they arguing with the mayor of Chicago that he will want to fine the bus companies. Well, it's got to stop though. Because you can't take the people in. You got to put them somewhere. You can't just expect people to just say, okay, we're going to just go, like you say, break down the schools. Now the kids ain't got nowhere to go to school because you're putting them in the school. Now you're putting them in hotels. Well, people need hotel rooms. Where does it stop? Why should a schoolhouse be eliminated while you keep migrants in the fucking schoolhouse? That's dumb. The kids need to be able to go to school.
And they were saying, well, what's the big deal? It was just only for one day. Okay,
yeah.
well,
one day turns into a week.
Exactly. It is a big deal.
Just like the hotel stay.
You got to go in there. You got to go in there and clean it up.
Well,
before the kids get back in there. But well, let's just assume that they did. They picked up a little bit or whatever.
See, this is where I have a problem. Everybody want to blame certain politicians for the wall. The wall has been an issue for years. So you can't say, well, it's a Democrat problem. It's a such and such problem. Baby, the wall had flaws even when Republicans were in office. So you need to start with when you started seeing migrants come in, that's probably 50 years ago or more. Do you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's been an American problem. If you
Right,
build
if
a
you
high enough
start.
wall for near every border where you could not scale the wall, you won't have this problem.
Exactly.
The buoys in the river, that's pointless. Somebody or a few people that died trying to cross the buoys, then drowned. Okay, put up the wall, it won't matter because from wherever you standing, you will see this big ass great wall and say to yourself, I can't scale that.
I can't scale that.
So I got to now turn back around.
Mm.
There has to be bylaws. That's just life.
And then they're coming over here. What diseases are they bringing over here?
Oh, Lord, you crazy. Well.
And then I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna go.
That's right.
The Ukrainians.
Okay.
How are they getting Social Security and they hadn't hit a lick at a snake? They hadn't been in America to put in any money to get any Social Security.
I ain't heard
but
about that.
But you giving them Social Security? Are you serious?
What you mean Ukraine?
And now you're sending out letters. Now Social Security is sending out letters to different people saying, okay, we've overpaid you $60,000. We've overpaid you $80,000.
I want the money back.
Now you want the money back.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of stuff going on with the
days.
IRS too. Some stuff about IRS payments or something. It's just a lot of confusion. And all this confusion is coming from COVID. The payments of COVID and the scheming and scamming with COVID and the PPP loans or whatever the hell that is. It's just a lot of scamming went on with COVID. And now it's a fallout because of all the stuff that went on with COVID, people getting money from COVID, for their businesses, fake businesses. So now they're trying to recoup all the money given out from the COVID money and the scamming from COVID.
Excuse me.
But my thing is, why the little man got to suffer? Because people were scheming and scamming. That don't got nothing to do with me.
Exactly.
It's just a sad world that we're in, and this is where we have ended up.
Right.
But I thank you for joining me.
Yeah, it was nice talking
tomorrow.
to you.
Yeah, tomorrow. I don't know what time I'm gonna live, but Scott Peterson is gonna be the subject for tomorrow because I'm trying to knock down all the breaking news stories that I feel like talking about. And his story is one because they say they have new evidence in the case, the Los Angeles Innocent Project, and that they want to
wait to hear this evidence.
Yes, they want to you're not gonna hear it because it ain't mentioned. They want to retest the cord that was wrapped around the baby's neck and some other evidence that was at the scene near when the mother and baby washed ashore.
Wow.
Or washed up wherever.
I can't imagine being that mother. I can't imagine being her mother.
Her mother.
Right.
Yeah, going through all that again. Well, I think all this. I think the retrial only came about because they found out that one of the jurors had been in a domestic situation and she lied about it on the questionnaire. I believe that goes back to that. That's how he got the new trial, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm.
I can't believe the Innocence Project is
Well, whoever works for him on appeal must have reached out to them and say, "Oh, there's some evidence to show." I think it's going to deal with probably him being at home at the time. It's something in that arena. Him being around, or no, something about a robbery. Something about some people. Their house got broken into. That's what that's about, I think. So I guess they're going to try to tie it into whoever broke into the house, they're the culprit to take her. Let me tell you something. Ain't nobody getting ready to take no pregnant damn woman dude out the house and dump her in the water and tie cylinder blocks around her.
Exactly.
Why am I do all that when I can just kill her in there and take out the house and keep it moving?
Exactly. And she was walking the dog at the time. I think the dog's name was Lucy.
Okay. Well, if she was walking the dog, then they couldn't have unalived her in the house.
And that dog, those dogs are very protective. So she would have only allowed someone whom she was familiar with to even get close enough to her.
In the house?
Exactly. In the house.
In the house. Well.
Yeah.
Somebody believes it.
Yeah, somebody believes it.
And I think
just like they
this is
believe
such a
Casey
high
Anthony.
injustice to rehash all this old stuff. Them folks that moved on, the parents of this girl, and to rehash all this back up, it's just a disservice to her and that baby.
It is. It is.
Because let's go here. Why were you driving around with a kidnapped kid in your trunk when you was trying to reach that girl you had that affair with?
What?
Yeah, when they decided to execute a search warrant on him and arrest him, he had a kidnapped kid in the trunk, and you remember he had what, $20,000 or $30,000 on him, and his hair was dyed blonde. Remember that?
Yeah.
He was trying to get her to meet him so he could kill her.
Yeah, that's what he was gonna do to her.
Yeah, like the stuff that was in the trunk, it's not stuff you would normally have in your trunk.
No, you wouldn't. Not a kidnapping kid.
So I guess the LA project, they didn't forgot all about that. The Innocent Project forgot about what was found in his trunk when he was trying to reach that girl. Because he kept calling her, trying to meet with her. If I'm correct.
Yeah, he did. He did.
And she was ignoring him. By this time, she was already working with law enforcement.
She was.
So, okay, so they execute the warrant to arrest him. That's what they found in the trunk. Rope and some other weapons and stuff. What you need that for? And a lump sum of money? And you dyed your hair. You've been wearing your hair dark all your life. Now you wake up, you want blonde hair. Okay. And you a man at that. Come on now.
A man at that. Right. Go figure that.
I gotta quiet her. Because if this go to trial, she gonna testify and tell everything that was said and done in conversations. He's another Casey Anthony. Lie, 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 lie. I'm in Paris. What do you do for a living that would take you to Paris, France? I'm dead.
Right.
Just think about that for a minute. What type of work did he do that would send him to Paris?
Exactly.
Oh, look at the lights. They're beautiful. This is what he's saying to her on the phone now. Oh, it's so beautiful. I wish you were here. He was right there in California.
And that's the night that he was at the candlelight visual.
Exactly. Not participating. A mile away, like the mother said. His eyes and mine was 12 miles out the shore. And they said that. He didn't seem engaged. Well, he killed her. Why would he be engaging?
Exactly. And why did you low down dirty dog, why did you wait until she was getting ready to have that baby?
Well, because he's like a lot of people. People don't know who they have jumped into the sack with. He is a definite narcissist. This man has no emotion. He's a sociopath. He has no emotion. He's like Chris Watts. Once I got in the pot, I realized I wanted out. And the only way to get out is to knock these folks off because we know about being married. See, it's not like dating somebody. You can walk away and keep it moving. You're married to them. So being married comes with a price. They got to now take me to court, sue me for my money, sue me for alimony, sue me for child support. I don't want to pay that. Don't you find it funny? A woman was in this story as well. Just like with the Watts case, you had a woman wrapped up in that. You got a woman wrapped up in this one. But this is what these women need to understand. They want to support them. After the fact, after they are under suspicion of murder, their family or wife or whatever.
They still support them. And we're married.
Why would make you think he wouldn't do it to you? He tires of you. Something goes wrong in the relationship. Now they're trying to figure out a way to dump your ass off some damn wire. That's what's how stupid these women are.
Oh.
Because that's the premise. That's the premise of it. I'm tired of her. I don't want what comes with being with her and the kids. Okay, I go get this woman. They don't get no evidence to tie me to my family's death, wife death, whatever. Now, we start having problems. What you gonna do? Knock her off? That Peterson guy did it up there in Illinois, remember? He killed that last wife, and then he had a wife that was found in a dry damn bathtub. Now, how a woman drowned in a dry ass tub?
In a dry tub.
But he was a cop then. Them people who investigated that knew damn well that woman had not drowned in that damn bathtub. I'm going to kill myself and be found in a tub with no water. So what I do? I did what? No signs that I slit my wrist. No sign that I overdosed. No sign that I took a bunch of pills. But I'm in a tub with no water.
But I drowned. Okay.
So this is what I'm trying to tell you. There's people who ride the ride, and that police department rode the ride with him because he was a cop, no different than what the hell happened out there at Gilgo Beach. There were dirty cops, dirty chief, dirty sergeants, and somebody in that department knew something wasn't right with all them women popping up dead.
Yeah, they knew. And like you said, there's not just one dirty out.
Yeah, now imagine who's still working there in Suffolk County.
Exactly.
Ding, ding, ding. Just like I was watching the press conference. You know, I always watch people. I said to myself, you got all these people standing on this platform talking about this fourth victim. Now imagine the people that's wearing uniform. Are they on the up and genuine about this victim and the other victims? Who is standing in uniform could give two you know what about these dead women?
Exactly.
I think about that all the time. Hey, Brooke. Because I know this case went unsolved because of a dirty police department. So I'm still thinking the same with Suffolk County. Who is still on board and was on board with the last chief? You want me to believe they fired everybody that was working as a deputy or police officer or detective? You know they didn't.
They did. No, they did.
Very scary.
Very scary.
Thank you for sharing your story and your commentary with the chat. I appreciate it. And, you know, I will check in with you tomorrow. I'll send you a message when I go live for the Scott Peterson stream, okay?
Okay.
You have a good night.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody. That's Latrice. She was in the chat. She came on board to give her commentary. Yes, another long live. I'm so sorry. But this commentary is pertaining to Rex Heuermann. There was a press conference a couple of days ago about the fourth victim, Miss Brainard-Barnes. Her daughter and sister spoke at the press conference alongside Miss Allred. And DNA has linked Mr. Rex to the fourth victim, Miss Brainard. Also, his wife's DNA and child's DNA, daughter DNA on the bodies of these women. And where I have the problem is who's going to be next to be linked to Mr. Rex, and also more hair linked to the daughter and the wife. Now, yes, we know they lived in a haunted house. You can transfer hairs and fibers from one locale to the next, shirt to pants. I get all of that. It's still a bad look. Because now we're going to wonder if he has murdered these victims inside of his house, and where was his wife and children if indeed he killed one or more of these women in his house. Number two, did any of these women participate in the murders, torture of the women? Knowledge of the women being in the house, tortured, murdered. Disposing, any knowledge by the wife, the daughter. Any intervention, fights, altercation with any of the women. Where were all the women murdered? The other people out at the beach discarded. Will they be linked to Rex Heuermann? And will there be other DNA to link the daughter, the mother, to those bodies? Because like I said to the people in the chat this evening, what will be jacked up is if there is DNA under the victim's nails linked to Rex and linked to the wife or the daughter. You are not going to be able to explain that as transference, because then that means you had direct contact with a victim or victims. That's my commentary. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $sign Big Angie, 129 Cash App, stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Excuse me. Please check out my extensive library of 2,000 plus uploads and lives pertaining to breaking news and hypothetical situations and different topics. Tomorrow's commentaries will be pertaining to Scott Peterson. The Los Angeles Innocence Project has jumped on board to help him with his upcoming trial number 2. Also, a juror has come out to speak, and I don't understand what the hell he's talking about. This is a fine mess. A fine mess. Also, a detective on the case from years ago feels like the outcome will be the same. So we have to ask that question. Will 12 members of the jury find Scott Peterson guilty round 2? Do you feel like the state's attorney dropped the ball in the original trial? I do believe all this came about because a juror lied about being involved in a domestic situation with another man, and she lied on the questionnaire. And I believe that's how Mr. Peterson was able to get a second trial, a retrial. Just all jacked up. Totally jacked up. You all have a wonderful evening. Stay warm, stay safe. I'll be back with more breaking news and commentary. Once again, Scott Peterson will be the next live stream for your enjoyment. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below this video. Take the polls on my community page. Feel free to take the polls during the live stream. I do have some polls I need to put up pertaining to the past lives I've done in the past 24 hours. Check out the last stream pertaining to Allie Harris, who has passed away in Kingsport, Tennessee. And I also will put a post up of an obituary if there is one available in the Kingsport News. Thank you for your time. You have been listening to the Vault XL.